Chat. I'm not in a hurry. You're in a hurry. Oh boy. Oh, it's gonna be we're gonna have a good conversation today, Josh.
I'm excited.
I'm just out of breath from running around trying to get this thing situated. We're at right there. Boom. No, wrong. One day I'll be
There we go.
situated. There we go.
Come down a little
Drop
bit.
down about 2 inches. We're good to
There we
go. In the chat, Jim, what's up, brother? Ridiculous to have someone like Peterson represent Christianity. Obviously, they should have chosen James Lindsay. Obviously, they should have chosen James Lindsay. Everybody knows James Lindsay is peak Christianity, right? I mean, everybody knows that. Look, I got water on my shirt from slicking my hair back. I've been working.
Should have got Corey Mahler.
I finally finished the towel. Yeah, Corey, that would have been a good one, dude.
He would have kicked.
Who else would have been a good? Frank Turek. Anybody know Frank Turek? That would have been pretty solid.
I know you don't like him, but
IP's
you have to
an
admit
idiot.
for the debate for that video, he would have been good for it.
Yeah, I mean he's good. He's an apologist.
Yeah,
I just disagree with him.
But you know they're bringing up like basic bitch atheist arguments, and he's perfect for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, like I mean, more like you said, Jay Dyer. I mean, I haven't watched a lot of his stuff, but I mean, literally, any Christian would have been better than a non-Christian representing Christianity. Like, what kind of sense does that make?
And it's like. The title of the video is Jordan Peterson a Christian?
No,
of course he isn't. We've known this for years. He's not.
No, yeah, he's not. Have we done a review on like this specific topic yet?
We had talked about him before, and that kind of did come up a little bit, where we were basically like, yeah, like he's not. Like, why would he not say it if it were true? It's because it isn't true, and he's grifting to Christians.
Yeah, and. I'm going to note something else, and I'm going to establish this later on in the video, is Jordan Peterson, when he talks about the Bible, it's almost explicitly the Old Testament. Almost explicitly, right? And so we're going to go through a lot of these videos. I think What Do You Mean did a video. He's about 30 minutes long. We'll kind of do a speed react through on that. Ruslan kind of did a look back on Jordan Peterson. And then we're going to touch on Joe Rogan a little bit. He's going to church now. Which is a pretty solid landing, dude.
Yeah, yeah.
He's coming a long way real fast.
I know.
So we're gonna take a look at Jordan Peterson, his arc. I guess if you want to call it that. I mean, he's very Nietzschean, and I guess that what do you expect from Mr. Nietzsche himself? Let's see. Peterson is a Christian. Yes, Ninja said. He said Prot's gonna have a hard time since they reject the normative authority of who is and isn't in the church.
People that don't believe that Jesus Christ was a literal person that literally raised from the dead, no Christian argues.
I think there's a discussion to be had about a universal church. I think there is a discussion to be had. I don't think giving authority through infallibility to people is the way forward. Jordan Peterson is a clown, not a Christian, debating atheism. Yeah, so I'll show this too. When Jubilee posted the video, I don't know what the background of this is, but when they posted the video, it said 1 Christian versus 20 atheists. Less than 4 hours later, I guess the clip had gone around of Jordan Peterson getting absolutely blasted.
Yeah. It
said Jordan Peterson versus 20 atheists. And so my question is, if that's the title of your video, what is your video about? Yeah, the dude versus 20 atheists? What do you mean? What are you debating then?
Yeah, and it's one of those things like he's so I think he's so his viewpoints are so confusing even like to us. And I think at this point it has to be intentional because
it is intentional.
Because he was saying, well, you don't have objective morality without a God. And it's like, well, okay, so do you believe in God? And I think it's like what he believes is like God is the best thing, but he's not a person. It's like the ideal, which is realer than matter, which is what is real.
Yeah, I think we can. I got a video on that too, where he does at some point he does admit that Jesus Christ was a real person that died and rose again, but he then essentially denies the deity, right? He denies Christ is God.
Well,
like what kind of what like
I'll tell you exactly what it is, and we can get into it a little bit later if you prefer. But it's like what he means is that the truth of the story, meaning the meaning of the story, is realer than fact-based statements. So he does not believe that Jesus literally rose from the dead, but he will say Jesus rose from the dead because the meaning of it is realer than the fact.
He'll say because Christ is the archetypal person.
Yes.
That's his line. And
yes.
So, listen, dude, we've done a video on Jordan Peterson before. I was a huge follower of Jordan Peterson for a long time. I consumed stupid amounts of hours of his lectures. I have a fairly, I mean, I've read all of his books except for Maps of Meaning. That one got a little thick for me. But I would call myself a Jordan Peterson expert. Like, I'm an expert on Jordan Peterson. I would think I'm in that ballpark somewhere, or at least used to be prior to his Daily Wire buying out. But, you know, that's kind of a little discussion that we're going to have also in this conversation. Peterson views Scripture as a work of fiction. He views Scripture as correct, but he takes it beyond what is natural into a metaphysical, philosophical perspective, and then doesn't apply it to the nature itself.
Right.
And so to him, it's more real than real. Therefore, it is not real.
In the same way that one of his favorite books, Crime and Punishment, is a really good story about like guilt and the nature of greed and sin and whatnot. He thinks that like, yeah, it's a work of fiction. It didn't happen, but it is real. What it is real.
Yeah. Many schismatic sects eventually deny Christ's divinity. You require normative authority to find what is and ain't a church doctrine. We'll have to we'll get a call-in show. I'll get Ninja to call in.
I was wondering which comment you were laughing at. I found it.
Well, I'll get my call-in set up here soon, and Ninja, we can call in and have us a little orthodoxy debate. It is real. Yes, it is. It is real. It is real. It is real. All right, let's jump into. I got a video for us, but I want to look at something else first. We're gonna react to this. Is what do you mean? He kind of put a compilation, did like a backstory on Jordan Peterson, which is really good. It's also like 10 months old, and we're gonna take a look at that. We're also gonna take a look at. I want to find Josh. You know where it's at?
Where what's
go here? I want to find the clip of, you know the clip, this one clip.
Yeah.
All right. So first of all, this is Jubilee changed the title. Can y'all see? No, not really. The title says, all right, at the bottom it says 1 Christian versus 20 atheists. Jordan Peterson. And then the next one, it says Jordan Peterson versus 20 atheists. Right, so this is 4 hours. Less than 4 hours, they changed the video title from 1 Christian to Jordan Peterson. Very, very shady on you, Jubilee. If you're gonna let the dude get blasted, let him get blasted. I mean, maybe the back end of it was Jordan Peterson not knowing that he was going to be representing Christianity as a Christian. Like what kind of sense does that make?
Well, yeah, and it's like these people, like I've seen a couple of these guys on TikTok before. They are gotcha, bro, like haha, here's the layup type, like basically Redditors on things. Yeah, they catch you in a contradiction. They're not trying to like actually work through this with you. They're trying to make you look stupid. And him being a fake Christian, I'm sure a lot of them know this, and this is just an easy layup for them.
Yep. Before we jump into this quick video, Jordan Peterson being a fan of Solzhenitsyn and not considering reading 200 Years Together is concerning. Jackass virtual me right there. Comments went hard and they changed the title. Did they? I haven't even looked at the comments. We'll take a look in a second. Matter of fact, let's just go to the video itself. I feel like that would be better. Come on. What's my keyboard doing? Come on. Josh, say words to the people.
Hello, people. Gunga ginga bunga banga bunga. He looks bad, by the way, too.
You're a Christian.
He's old, dude. How old is he? I want to watch this full exchange that he had. I haven't watched it yet. This one wasn't a bad exchange. I think the people that are atheists now are like your top tier people. Like everybody that used to be an atheist isn't an atheist anymore. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we're like really thought actually smart people are still atheists
that can actually defend their position because atheism has just gone down so far so fast.
Well, it's not popular anymore. That was like in the after 9/11, it was very like cool to be an atheist, and now like
you had the Sam Harris and Brett Weinstein. Dude, I wanted to send you a video of I think Eric just getting bodied by some actual neuroscientist.
Which one's Eric?
Brett's brother, Weinstein. I don't know which one's which. They look the same to me.
Who's the
Curly
one
hair,
that we
big
just
nose.
reviewed? The one on
Brett. I think Brett's the one that gets all that.
The geneticist is Brett. So the other one who's like a mathematician.
All right, chat. Baby Uno, what's up? JP is not a Christian. This is correct. But he is here defending Christianity somehow because he has done a round table with some Jews and an Orthodox Prager. What's his name? Prageau, Jonathan Prageau. Dude, I like what Jonathan Prageau says most of the time. I just can't listen to him because he speaks so slow. And I put it on 2 times and it's still slow. And it hurts my head.
Put it on 4 times.
Jordan Peterson not a Christian? Correct. Such professional sounded anti-Semitic. They all look the same. Top tier atheists are now culturally Christian. This is correct. Culturally Christian atheists like Richard Dawkins. He came out and said, I'm culturally Christian on a podcast with Cosmic Skeptic, Alex. What's his last name? O'Connor.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. They're all culturally Christian. You know why they're culturally Christian, Josh?
Because Europe is Christian.
Correct. Because the West is Christian. The West is the greatest culture that has ever existed. And is being destroyed by invaders. Let's see.
I genuinely think if Christopher Hitchens were alive today, he'd probably be a Christian by now.
I don't think so, man.
You don't think so?
No, I think Christopher Hitchens knew when he was alive because I've watched some of his debates. I think he knew. He was just good at
what?
Knew Christianity was true. He just rejected it. Yes, they all did.
You think this is
Christopher Hitchens was asked one time, I believe it was by Frank Turek actually, or it might have been William Lane Craig. He was asked if Christianity were true, what would it take you to believe? And he was presented this, and his rebuttal was essentially nothing, because even if he came to me in person, I would just pawn it off as a hallucination, right? So that tells you that there's no line in which he would become a Christian.
But I get what you're saying, but here's the thing about him, that the impression I got from him...
And it's not about knowledge either.
No. But I think... He was very hot for the time, and I think someone like him would have adapted. Like everything going on, I think his heart would have been softened to Christianity, and then he would be more open-minded. I don't think it's a question of his intellectual. I don't think an argument would have come out that wasn't around back then that would convince him. I think it's a matter of the heart. I just get the vibe, like out of all the 4 horsemen, you remember all of it, like Daniel Dennett, Sam Harris.
Sam Harris is a joke now, dude.
What's the other guy?
I thought it was Weinstein.
Dawkins.
Oh, Dawkins.
These people, you can like just tell that in their case, almost nothing would convince him. Nobody's a lost cause, but these guys are like, they're old, they're so far gone, probably they are. But there was something about Christopher Hitchens, I think that he may have been open to it later in life, but he died, so.
Baby Uno says, who should have been on there instead of Peterson? Basically anybody. Me, Josh,
a Christian.
A Christian would have been a good start. Imagine going to a debate as a representative of Christianity and then denying Christ in front of
he goes,
in front of 100 million people.
He goes, are you Christian? And then he's like, I don't have to tell you that. Like, what are you doing?
What are you trying to one up Peter, dude? Like, come on, man. He's denied him before. So, Ninja said Jay Dyer, yeah. Literally anybody. I thought he recognized Christ before he died, or is that rumor?
I've heard that too, but it's no one's gonna.
I mean, here's where I'm at. I think
orb fallacy.
I think that he knew. I think he knew from a knowledge standpoint, yes, but I don't know that he believed. And I guess the question is, what does it take to unharden a heart that has been hardened for 50 years?
What do you mean by knew?
He knew without a doubt that Jesus Christ was God.
See,
because here's why I say that. Christopher Hitchens never really. I don't think his debate, his positions, and the way he explained things were superior. Christopher Hitchens won by one-liners, one-shotting people, without question, and he was extremely good at it. And so he relied on that a lot to the point where I say that he knew and he fell back on these things to win debates because just like I think Destiny understands that his positions are incorrect, yet he's very good at debating because he can memorize leftist tactics and positions and spout them all faster than anybody can rebut them. What I'm saying is that in the same way that is Christopher Hitchens, where they both have a base of support where if they denied that base, then they have no living because nobody would support Destiny on a shift right.
Here's the thing.
In the same way, I don't think anybody would. Christopher Hitchens would have no foundation.
You're absolutely right. But my point is like, maybe you've seen it. There was a video, and if you haven't, we can pull it up, where Christopher Hitchens was in a car, I think with Daniel Dennett. Someone was filming them, and he was saying, he goes, if there was one religious person left on the planet, if there was one Christian left on the planet, and it was just me and them in a room, and I had everything I needed to convince them that they were wrong, I couldn't do it. And Daniel Dennett was like, what? Why? And he goes, I feel like we'd be missing something. Like religion is terrible and I hate it, but there's just something, because I do feel like you're right. His arguments weren't great when you actually get them down. He was just a super effective and articulate debater.
Yeah.
However, I do think he was also genuine. He wore his heart on his sleeve. And I think given like the 2 decades since he's died, or almost 2 decades, I think you could. I think there's a case being made that he would convert. I mean, it's too late now. It
is too late now. Daz Nunya, you still click, brother. Baby Uno says, no, I mean, what high-profile person like Jordan Peterson could have replaced him, like Charlie Kirk and Donald Trump? I mean, Charlie does good apologetics work. Again, I mean, I don't agree with all of these people. I wouldn't say Candace. No. Definitely not Donald Trump. I mean, who would you? I mean, you could send Ruslan out there. I mean, you could send Inspiring Philosophy. You could send. We do some debates with Corey Mahler because send him out there. I mean, the list is really endless.
Yeah, there's no shortage of people that are like Christian apologists to debate
Frank
these
Turek,
kids.
William Lane Craig. Well, William Lane Craig is getting old, and he's super busy right now. Well, Jordan Peterson's getting old. Just look at him. All right,
he's getting that old man kind of meaty look, like getting that old man red in before he goes white.
Yeah. Chet, do y'all have sound? Yeah.
Hey, Dr. Peterson.
How you doing?
Danny, nice to meet you.
What's your name?
Danny.
Danny.
You're saying atheists worship things or people or places, whatever. Can you be very clear about your definition of worship again?
Attend to, prioritize, and sacrifice for.
Okay, that's it. That's your understanding of worship.
Well, I could flesh it out, but that'll do for the time we have.
Okay. Do Catholics attend to Mary?
Yes.
Okay. So do they fit that description of worship?
Yes.
So you would say Catholics and other people that revere Mary, like the Eastern Orthodox tradition, worship Mary.
Well, they might not put her in the highest
But
place.
you would put it that way.
No.
You just said it. Now you're taking it back
There's
now?
still a hierarchy.
Okay, there's a hierarchy, but within the
There's something at the top.
All right, you can worship things
Mary
below.
is quite a ways up the hierarchy, but not at the top.
Let's go over your definition of worship again. What's your definition of worship?
Attend to.
Attend to. Do
Yeah, this is some shit lip like gotcha. Like I was saying earlier, it's
Yeah,
a
but
gotcha.
it gets to a point. It is a gotcha. It is, and it's very Christopher Hitchens of him.
Very true. Very true.
I mean, Peterson should have, honestly, he should have outright just denied Catholicism on its face. If he would have done that, then he'd be in a much better position. But he can't do that because he has no base to fall on if that happens.
Yeah.
Prioritize.
do
And
Catholics
sacrifice for.
what do Catholics attend to? Do they prioritize Mary over all other human beings?
No, I didn't say overall, did I? I didn't add that to my definition.
You understand?
I said there was a hierarchy as well.
You attend to
So you can attend to something trivially, or you can attend to it deeply.
Okay, now you're adding stuff to the definition. But your original
I
definition.
added the hierarchy part at the beginning.
What was that?
Are you
You just
familiar?
didn't understand it.
Are you familiar with the Immaculate Conception?
Why is that relevant?
Because you go to a Catholic church, don't you? Or you've attended recently. You're interested in Catholicism, aren't you?
Sure.
All right. Are you familiar with?
Dude, you know what this seems like? This is straight up like deep thought interrogation, dude.
This is like I feel like MK Ultra or something's going on. You know?
Their doctrines.
Somewhat.
Okay, you're
Their
familiar.
doctrines are very
How do they
deep.
regard Mary?
Why are you asking me that?
Because you're a Christian.
You say that. I haven't claimed that.
Oh, what is this? Is this Christians versus atheists?
I don't know.
You don't know where you are right now.
Don't be a smartass.
Well-
and I mean,
Dude, when we did our Jordan Peterson video not too long ago, we both basically came to the conclusion that he's not who he was prior to.
Yeah, where
His brain
his
frame.
brain, he had a little bit of a
This, I mean, dude,
Drug
this show,
problem.
he's not. I don't think it's old age, dude. I think he's just not entirely there as he used to be.
what was he addicted to?
Benzos,
Benadryl.
benzodiazepines.
Okay, yeah.
Either you're a
because I
Christian
won't
or you're
talk
not.
to you if you're a smartass.
Oh, either you're a Christian or you're not. Which one is it?
I could be either of them, but I don't have to tell you.
You don't have to tell me. I was under the impression
private.
I was invited to talk to a Christian. Am I not talking to a Christian?
No, you were invited to.
I think everyone should look at the title of the YouTube channel. You're probably in the wrong YouTube video,
You're really quite something, you are.
aren't I? But you're really quite nothing, right? You're not a Christian.
Okay, I'm done with him.
They
Dude.
all do the like mouth cover thing.
I
It's
mean,
the
he
gayest
knew he
thing
got him right there,
imaginable.
dude. I mean, because I mean, he's exactly correct. Jordan Peterson stands on nothing. He has no foundation to stand on, right? If we build our house on sand, what happens, Josh?
It collapses.
It collapses when the rain comes. This is the rain coming. This is the collapse, and it's just been building up since his benzos and then selling out to the Daily Wire. I mean, his I don't know if anybody's watched his Genesis lectures. They were good, but they weren't biblical. They were psychological, right? And the same thing with the Exodus. I mean, if I sit in a round table with a Catholic, a couple of Jews, an Orthodox, like, what am I? You know, if I'm doing Exodus with somebody that's not of my faith, what's the point, Josh?
Right.
Let's see. Baby Una says, "Don't you think Jordan Peterson's disingenuous? Why does he accept the Christian label when he himself doesn't declare to be one?" So he
can sell books, so he can make money.
Yeah, so he this has happened multiple times with some of his Muslim followers and some of his Jewish followers, where the Jews have basically called him rabbi, and some of the Muslim followers have kind of said this thing to him in the same way that they follow him because they like his teaching or whatever, and they hold him in high regard. This is the same thing with some of the Christian guys that used to follow him along, before the crash out. And these people are sellouts. It's that simple. They'll take whatever label as long as it benefits them, right? And if it doesn't benefit them anymore, then they lose the label. And I don't know why he outright denied it in this case, knowing that he was going to box himself in a corner, right? You have to be able to process it at least, I don't know, like 2 sentences out. Like, what was that, Josh? Like, he threw himself in a corner and just expected nothing to happen.
Yeah. And it's like, yeah, it kind of does matter, where it's like, oh, I don't have to tell you that. Like, well, you kind of do. I mean, that's
the whole point of this thing. But yeah, we're going to dive in. I want to jump into this one. Chat, y'all stay active if you want to. I'll stop it as much as I can. And if y'all have any questions, throw them out there. We're going to dive into a little bit of a Rogan here too pretty soon. I guess while you're here, whoever's watching, go ahead and drop a like on the video. Maybe YouTube will push it out a little bit.
Jordan Peterson is clear where he stands on most issues.
Do you think a trans woman is a woman?
No.
But when it comes to the question of if he's a Christian or not, he always seems hesitant to answer.
Do you believe that Jesus rose again from the dead? Literally.
I cannot answer that question.
And so it makes sense why 40,000 of you responded to my poll asking if he was...
Yeah, he does this a lot too. I mean, it depends on what is, right? He has that Bill Clinton.
Well, what do you mean by believe?
Christian or not, and about 20% believes that he is, about 20% believes that he isn't, and almost half of you are confused and have no idea what he actually believes. But after listening to hundreds of hours of him talk about this subject, understanding the evolution of his religious views, and talking with people who know him closely, I'm confident that I can offer you some clarity on not only what he actually believes, but also if he's actually...
Oh, side point, Josh. He's putting out a parenting series.
To fund,
I don't know,
sponsored by benzodiazepine.
I don't know what it is, but I mean, he doesn't have the greatest track record with parenting, if you catch my drift.
A Christian or not. So let's get into it. Things will make more sense once you understand how his religious views evolved over the years. When Peterson was 12, his mother enrolled him in a class at church, which seemed to have left him with more questions than answers. He not only found himself disinterested in what he was learning, but also in disbelief about it. After asking his teacher questions about science and religion, he found his teacher incapable of answering his questions in an honest way, which ultimately led Peterson to conclude that religion was for the ignorant, weak, and the superstitious. He rejected the religious views that were given to him, chalking up God, the existence of hell, and the resurrection of Christ as downright impossibilities, putting him on the path to becoming an atheist. He started to view the world from a materialistic perspective, meaning that the only things that existed were physical, and everything in the world was the result of purely physical processing.
We're going to fast forward this thing a little bit. He basically lays out Jordan Peterson's early life being an atheist, and then kind of leaning into more of a theistic
talks about religion than the vast majority of people. This is the foundation to everything that Peterson says about the world, including God and the Bible. But remember what he said.
I'm not an atheist anymore.
So, case closed. He's no longer an atheist, and he now believed in God, right? Well, not so fast. We'll come back to that question here in a moment. However, this perspective did lead to what would be one of his most successful teachings today. His
Bible lectures. Like I said earlier, the Genesis lecture is worth watching for sure, but it's not like he's not a pastor. Mm-hmm. It's a very deep dive from a philosophical perspective.
Bible lectures. Given his new view that meaning was fundamental to how he understood all of reality, this prompted Peterson to revisit the biblical stories that he had once abandoned in his youth. He started to find value and meaning in the religious texts that he used to believe to be non-existent during his time as a materialistic atheist. The outworking of his studies accumulated to one particular day in May of 2017 when Peterson started his famous biblical lectures on the book of Genesis titled The Psychological Significance of the Bible. And against all expectations and intentions, these biblical lectures led Peterson to perhaps be the most influential Bible interpreter alive today, as his lectures have generated over 50 million views on YouTube so far. Giving his audience a view of the Bible in a way that most of them haven't ever considered before, thousands Thousands of people testified that the lectures had a significant impact on their lives for the better, and several non-Christians also decided to become Christians as a result as well. But even though these lectures left so many people far more open to the Bible than they were before, they also left some people feeling confused about Peterson and his motives. People simply weren't used to hearing a non-Christian talk about the Bible with such passion and conviction, which led onlookers to wonder if Peterson was nearing a Christian conversion or if he was secretly a Christian himself. But the question that everyone wanted to know was, did his investigations of the Bible lead him to believe that God and the Bible were true in what we might call an objective sense? Or, given his psychological view of the world, did he see God and the Bible to be merely products of the human imagination? Well, clarity for that question could be found in a 2017 interview taken around the same time that he was giving his lectures on the Bible. In the interview, his religious beliefs came up, and here's what he said.
So people often ask me, do you believe in God? Which I don't like that question. And the reason I don't like to answer it is because A, I don't like to be boxed in, and B, because I don't know what the person means by believe or God. And they think they know. And the probability that they construe belief and construe God the same way I do is virtually zero.
All right, now that answer was...
All right, let me stop it right here. I want to go back to this debate for a quick second, because he has that debate with one of these guys. Is it this one? Yeah, I think it is.
As I can tell, is to conduct yourself in a manner that makes such things much more unlikely. But that's
yeah. The reason I'm doing this is much more recent. The what do you mean video is probably 10 months old.
Mistake. I think it's an analytic mistake because you're putting the cart before the horse.
I really don't.
Atheists accept Christian morality, but deny the religion's foundational stories. Hi there.
It's very nice to meet
What's
you.
your
I'm
name?
Ian. I'm Ian.
Hi, Ian.
Yes. So God says that you can own people as property. He says that you can beat them with a rod too. He commands genocide in Deuteronomy, in Numbers, and in Samuel. I mean, they have a goddamn baby barbecue in Numbers. Like, is all of this in line with Christian ethics?
No.
So then God doesn't fit within Christian ethics.
Well, the biblical library is a continuing story, and everything written in text. I think it's an analytic mistake because you're putting the cart before the horse.
I really don't think so. I think that if we, I'm not sure what conversation you're a part of.
Don't be a smartass.
I'm sorry.
Seriously, I mean it. If we're going to have a serious conversation, conduct yourself properly.
Okay.
Okay. Rephrase your question so that, because I must have missed it, I tried to answer it.
So in my mind, I guess by my lights, a perfect being doesn't change. A perfect being, if they're maximally good, maximally moral.
Is there redress
So
what I
yeah.
just
So I'm about to address it, but I'm addressing it with a question. Do you think that God is by his very essence perfect?
You'll have to provide more.
Sure, just like maximally great and all like the great making qualities.
Sure.
Yeah, like flawless. Yeah. So,
okay,
so does a flawless thing change? Does a flawless thing reveal?
Yeah, Jordan Peterson was, I mean, even if he didn't deny Christ or deny being a Christian, he is not the one for this debate. He is not an apologist. It's going to be a poor representation no matter what.
Yeah.
I mean, these atheists are going to go after these exact lines because that's what they do. That's how they get there.
Like more and better information over time, or would a flawless thing say, here's what's good, here's the absolute good thing to do at all circumstances in time?
Well, we know some of that.
Wait,
Tell
so
the truth. That's one.
That's totally fine, but presumably...
No. You don't get to skate over that. That's totally fine.
It's a straw man of my position. It's a straw man of the argument. So the argument is that
wait a sec. You said find one maxim that's transcendent across situations.
I didn't say any of those words. I'm not sure what conversation you're a part of.
Don't be a smartass.
I'm sorry.
Seriously.
What did he say?
I mean it. If we're going to have a serious conversation, conduct yourself
I didn't say
properly.
any of those words. I don't know what conversation
you're a part of.
So yeah. So I'm about to address it, but I'm addressing it with a question. Do you think that God is by his very essence perfect?
You'll have to provide more.
Sure, just like maximally great and all like the great making qualities.
Sure.
Yeah, like flawless. Yeah. So does a flawless thing change? Does a flawless thing reveal like more and better information over time, or would a flawless thing say, here's what's good, here is the absolute good thing to do at all circumstances in time?
Well, we know some of that.
Wait,
Tell the truth. That's one.
That's totally fine, but presumably...
No. You don't get to skate over that. That's totally fine.
It's a straw man of my position. It's a straw man of the argument. So the argument is that God...
Wait a sec. You said find one maxim that's transcendent across situations.
I didn't say any of those words. I'm not sure what conversation you're a part of.
Don't be a smartass.
I'm sorry.
Seriously, I mean it. If we're going to have a serious conversation, conduct yourself properly.
Okay.
Okay. Rephrase your question so that, because I must have missed it, I tried to answer it.
So in my mind, I guess by my lights, a perfect being doesn't change. A perfect being, if they're maximally good, maximally moral...
Does our understanding of the perfect being change?
Our understanding might, but
Okay, how do
presumably
we
what the perfect being is revealing.
Well, I agree. How do we distinguish between that, though, at the human level?
How do we distinguish between whether...
Between our transforming understanding of perfection and perfection itself.
Between our...
we can only see through our own lenses.
Presumably a perfect being would be revealing all of these aspects all the time, especially if God's outside of time. I don't know how a God who's outside of time is revealing different things at different times. That just seems like incoherent to me.
Imagine something that's perfect.
Sure.
And complete.
Sure.
Okay, and it's trying to communicate with creatures who are anything but that.
Sure.
Well, they're going to get it wrong.
Sure.
Okay, now wait a sec. Do you blame that on the interpreters or the phenomena itself? Like, for example, are you perfect in attending to your conscience?
Hold on. At the point in time when God is literally the one who created us, he could have created us in a way where we would always be receptive to these principles, where we don't have to go across like a learn.
One thing I will say that atheists try to create this falsehood where I think he's about to dive into it, where because God is perfect, everything that he creates should be perfect.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's just, it's flawed. I mean, well, it's impossible.
It's basically like, we as Christians would argue the reason there are problems is because we have free will. And what they're saying is, well, if God was perfect, why wouldn't he create us without free will?
Right. Well, yeah, he's saying, why wouldn't God create us perfect if he is perfect? And that doesn't follow. Welcome, Gunnar. Welcome, taking in. All of the atheists look like homos. Well, they look like atheists.
Yeah. I saw 3 different dudes do the like the cover their mouth thing, like during a mic drop moment. It's the gay physiognomy, gay behavior.
Yeah, I mean they're atheists. They look like atheists. That's how atheists look. Learning curve where maybe we'll understand like thousands of years in the future. Maybe we'll do it. Oh, also, if you believe in an all-knowing God, then free will is impossible because
wait a sec. Let's not go to that
because
yet.
you threw free will into the mix.
Well, that was the answer to your question.
Yeah, and
you said why wouldn't God? Well,
it's
1,000 years of deep-thinking philosophers would disagree with you.
Yeah, and 1,000 years of, or at least like the last 50 years of philosophers would disagree with you. These analytic philosophers, people like Graham Oppie make arguments about the incompatibility of omniscience and free will, that if God created this world, if he chose this world instead of that world, then he makes it causally inevitable every single action that you were going to make. If he made a world where we were just electrons in love, then none of this would have happened. But by making us in this world, knowing exactly what's going to happen in the future, it makes all of those events inevitable, which means...
So I've played with this. Obviously, I don't agree with it, but I do think there is something to the idea that God chose this string of actions. God chose this world, and essentially what I came to was that you deserve your position that you've been given, granted throughout all of, let's say, the iterations of what it could have been. Does that make sense? I'm not saying that is true. I'm saying if you follow this line of thinking, I think that's where you arrive at.
I get what you're saying to an extent, and this is something I've thought about before. This would be like this was an objection I had to like the multiverse argument. Why is there a version of me that's not a Christian? Is there a version of me that is Buddhist or, any of these things? And it's like, if you look at it from a purely deterministic point of view, I think God created the universe and he intervenes at times and, within us, externally, whatever. Mm-hmm. But the point being is like, if you have a universe with the same physical, you know how they say it, like, what's the fine-tuning argument? The same physical dials. They're all set to the same thing. The universe will be exactly the same every single time. There is no universe where you would be different, because in order for you to be different, your upbringing would have to be different. Well, why would your upbringing be any different? Because and it would be a totally different world. You know what I mean? Like, it wouldn't be the same world at all.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's basically that's the answer to the question of why was I born in America? Why was I born to a Christian family? If Christianity is true, then all of the kids born in China are damned. Jack, welcome to the stream. He said, there is no evidence for anything immaterial. The universe could have been self-created or have been here forever. Well, it couldn't have been here forever because we wouldn't exist in this time because, well, there would be no starting point and there would be no way to get here, right? If you have a line that is purely a line and without a starting point, then there is no beginning of that line for it to allow us to get here.
I used to believe that. I'm a little iffy on that now, but I will say this. Like the universe being self-created, we had talked about this before. I don't
necessarily deny that as a statement itself.
So I think we've talked about this before, where we both believe that like time is not like constantly moving. Like time is like we experience time moment to moment.
Mm-hmm.
But how God experiences it, which is not all at once, but it's like simultaneously, is how it actually is. Right?
It depends on how you define time. A lot of people define time differently. Jack said there's no evidence for anything immaterial. I wonder how you get that thought.
Evidence.
Like, how did that thought process into your head? I mean, was it just chemicals bouncing around in your brain? Obviously not. We have something immaterial in us.
And here's a fair question to Jack Devaney. What would convince you that immaterial things exist? What evidence would convince you of that?
He says, if God isn't created, then so could the universe.
No.
Well, no, because within the universe, there has to be causal effect.
Right.
You have to have a beginning cause.
God has agency. The universe does not.
Correct.
Yeah, it's just chemicals. Okay, he's responding to what you said.
Well, then, I mean, I don't know what to tell you, man.
I mean, genuine question. What would convince you that immaterial things exist? Not even God, just anything immaterial. If the answer is nothing, then there's no point in arguing with you because you can't be convinced.
Nothing cannot create something. That's correct. Have you heard that bit of the comedian talking about atheists believe in nothing, theists believe in God?
Oh,
and
yeah,
nothing is essentially God.
Pete Holmes, yeah.
That was a pretty good skit or stand up. Existence requires being, correct. The creator can speed up or slow down time. It depends on how you define time. I saw somebody define time in a similar way that I define something like logic, right, or morality, right? God is time, and so they essentially defined it as that. And then for time to pass, change has to occur, right? So if change doesn't occur, then no time passes. That being anything before creation, there is no change, therefore there is no time.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And they kind of define it as that. I don't necessarily agree with it, but I hold time to be like the fourth dimension. Does that make sense?
I think
space, matter, time.
Okay. This is a good one. Pull up his last one. I think the self is an illusion and free will doesn't exist. I think that our will is just us rationalizing what our body wanted post hoc. Okay, so within your statement, you say, I think that self is an illusion. Okay, well, if your self is an illusion, then what is experiencing the illusion? Because you're basically reasoning in a circle. Like to say all of reality is a hallucination, everything that I experience as me is an illusion, you are conceding that you exist, and therefore it is not illusory.
I think we have agency as living creatures because we can act, but we can't act freely. That doesn't make any sense.
This is what atheists think, and this is what that guy in the Jubilee video is basically saying, where because you do things for reasons, like because you married your wife, and a big part of the reason you married your wife is because you or initiated a relationship with her is because you were attracted to her. Therefore, you don't have free will because you were attracted to her, and that's why you picked her. It's like they're saying because you do things, because we don't just make decisions out of nothing, that therefore we don't have free will. That's what like this atheist is saying.
Does an NPC in a video game have act freely? Is that what he's saying? I think, okay, does an NPC in a video game have agency? He's still
I would say
acting,
they
but there's
don't.
no. I mean, there's no. It's all coded behind him. I mean, that's essentially what you're saying. I don't think we can control what convinces us.
Well, yeah, we can't.
I agree
control,
with that.
We can't control what convinces us, but we can. We can
pursue
act,
what we believe
you know?
to be true and come to the conclusions correctly, or come to the conclusions of what we have been presented without denying the evidence that we have pursued, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And it's definitely going to take more evidence to convince other people than not, right? This is the hardening of the heart that he talks about.
And again, it's like they're saying, okay, you have two options. I have job A and job B. I have to decide which one I want to go to. Let's say job A is a better location, but job B makes more money. And I pick job B because I want more money. Well, because you wanted more money, you would never have picked job A, therefore you don't have free will. That's what they are basically trying to argue.
Ninja said, atheists think nothing matters, so they can justify beating off to weird stuff online. I mean, basically, and this is kind of what I was getting at about Christopher Hitchens earlier, is that he knew, but he just wanted to deny it, and that's what a lot of them do. I mean, a lot of these guys like Sam Harris, right? They believe in God. This is essentially what Jews do. They accept that a God exists, but they find loopholes because they want to do things that God finds damnable, right? Jews are just atheists that claim to believe in God. Taken in says, Schrodinger's cat proves that inside the sim, it is the observers, us, who make the simulation run. We are not observing intimate objects. They are not rendering to save up memory. Yeah, and so Christopher Langan, CTMU, basically pans this out. Go ahead.
I'll be right back.
So Christopher Langan, CTMU, basically pans something out like this too. Also, where he talks about tellers, right? We have primary and secondary tellers, and then you have tertiary tellers also. But the primary and secondary tellers are the creators. It's a self simulation, right? So if a tree falls in the woods and no one's around to hear it, does it make a noise? And basically the answer is no, because there's no self-rendering happening. Now, the tree itself is a teller, but it's a secondary or tertiary teller. And in the same way, like a bear in the woods would be a tertiary teller. Does it happen? Yes, but it doesn't happen in our simulation, if you will. It only renders when you come across it, if that makes sense. And that's his explanation from a CTMU perspective. And I think he's loosely correct. Maybe I think he's exactly correct. How can we come to the conclusions correctly if we are all looking at the same evidence? If we are, maybe you meant aren't looking at the same evidence? I'm not sure. I mean, the answer is you won't, because some of you are hardened of hearts. I mean, it's not simply evidence that convinces someone. We all know this to be true. We can all be presented with the same evidence, whether that's about God or about orbs teleporting a plane away, right? If we all are presented with the same evidence, that doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to be convinced.
I missed anything good?
No, I just dove into the CTMU a little bit. We all have different lived experience. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we have. So your interpretation and handling of the evidence will be different than mine. Correct. No one's denying that. Ninja asks, does universal truth exist? I don't think moral truths can be objective. Okay, well, there's our problem. But I think physical things can be true. Is there absolute truth, Jack? Well, Ninja's going to ask him, is there absolute truth? Jack's going to say no. And then Ninja's going to say, is that true, Josh? Is it true that there are no absolute truths? This is a Frank Turek position. Sure, there can be absolute truths, but not objective moral truths. Okay, well, here we have a little situation here. If there are no objective moral truths, who is the one that subjectifies the morality as true or not?
Okay, I see. I thought you were kind of going in a circle there, but I see what you're saying. Hello?
I'm waiting on you.
Oh, say it again.
Okay, he says we do. No, see, here's the problem.
You're saying,
and I never hear this argument for anybody. If morality is not objectively true,
okay,
and it has no objective standard, which in this case would be God, then the logical conclusion is that everyone has their own morality.
Right.
That's the only place you can get to. There's no society involved. Morality is something society made up. Who's to stop anyone? Okay, you're even saying it doesn't exist. Morality doesn't even exist. And I think that is the correct position. That's the logical conclusion to your position, is that morality just doesn't exist, so I can go boil a baby if I want to.
If you wanted to.
If I wanted to.
Yeah.
You know, I have agency, but I don't freely act, so I'm just going to go boil a baby, Josh. What's the point in sending someone to jail or giving them the death penalty if we have agency but we don't have free will?
Mm-hmm.
What's the point?
Mm-hmm. There's no point.
There is no point. Nothing matters.
Yeah,
what a sad world to live
that's
in,
like,
man.
That's like one of those things where it's like atheists say that this is a popular one that used to come up. Is
Does
like
logic,
they say
hold on.
Yeah.
Ninja said, does logic exist? The answer would be not in Jack's brain.
But basically, atheists will say this. They say, in heaven there will be no sin. Well, if I have free will and have the ability to sin, does that mean in heaven there will be no free will? And it's like, no, because what it means is in heaven things will be so good with God that you may have the ability to sin, but you won't, because it is so far out of what is normal that you would never do it. In the same way, maybe this guy knows some people, but like, I don't know anyone who has taken a dump, turned around and with a spoon and then gobbled it out of the toilet. We don't do that because it is so far beneath us. We would never do that. It's going to be the same way in heaven. Things that are commonplace now, like lying, there will be no need for such things in heaven. There will be no need to covet thy neighbor's wife or any of these things. That all the things that prompt sin will be gone. And it's like he says, like they say, nice.
Just to catch up, Loco, welcome. He says, it is Peterson, part of Zionists, feet kissers and defenders. That is correct. He did sell his soul to the highest bidder, which was Daily Wire. Jack says, no, I'm not saying that. I'm saying it's subjective, but society determines what's moral or not, and that can change. Well, Jack, I will tell you this. You need to abandon that and adopt what I told you to abandon, because it is more correct in your worldview. This is incorrect even within your worldview. It doesn't logically follow, right? Just because society, define society? Is this a nation? Is this a state? Is this a city? Is this a neighborhood? Is this a household? It's an individual. It will always boil down to an individual, which inevitably means that subjective morality is amorality. It is whatever I feel like that day. It has no bearing on society. Subjective morality is not bound by a society. Loco, apparently atheists still exist. I didn't think so. I'm sure they had to, reach to the far edges of the world to get 20 atheists on this show. Let's see. Gay Coomer response. We won't be in our physical biological forms in heaven. Sin is redundant. Yes, to an extent. That's a conversation that we could probably have too, Josh. Rafael Mendez, what's up, brother? What does he say? If you watch Two Girls, One Cup, you had a wonderful teen times. Very base.
I don't know about that.
I don't know about that. All right, we're gonna leave that one alone. We're gonna leave that one alone, chat. Chat, can we leave that one alone? Thank you. Thank you very much. We're gonna get through this and then jump back on the other one. Jack, I do appreciate you jumping in the comments. It's okay to be wrong. You can correct your ways.
They're all causally determined, which means that we have no free will if you believe in an all-good God or an all-knowing God that made everything.
Well, have it your way.
Okay, cool. So then the free will theodicy fails.
Well, it fails for you. That doesn't mean you've disproved it. I mean,
Do you
tried to
understand
make
the argument?
Yes, you tried to make a case for causally deterministic universe. I don't think there's any evidence for that at all.
Do you think that God could have created a different universe than the one that he created?
I have no idea.
Okay, so then there's going to be a double bind, right? So either he couldn't have done it.
That's a good question. Do you think God could have created a different universe than the one that he created?
Could and would are two different things.
This is the debate that Corey had with James White the other day.
I think that God, being perfect, will have always created the same universe because it is the best option. Now, does this mean that God lacks the ability to create the other ones? No. He just, in the same, like God doesn't change. God doesn't make the wrong choices.
It's like if we jumped out of an airplane without a parachute, could God give us wings?
Yeah.
Would God give us wings?
No.
Okay.
Exactly.
Lacks a power, or he could have done it, in which case we don't have free will, because he chose this world instead of that world, making the events of this world instead of that world inevitable with his infallible knowledge.
I don't understand where you're headed.
He said I could just call in if you want. You know what we could do, Josh? We could set up a Zoom. Would y'all rather Zoom or like phone in? I could set up Zoom like tomorrow.
Ooh, you could you? All right, we got to do that.
Let's Jack, go ahead, hit subscribe if you will, and just jump in. We'll have to pick a day to do it. We'll probably have to kind of confine it to like specific days or something. It can't be every day or like the last hour.
Mm-hmm.
That would be good. I could get the Zoom call set up a lot quicker than I could get a like a cell phone call in. Only Red Bull gives you wings. Yes. Celsius makes you crazy. Dude, I drink so many Celsius, man. Celsius, sponsor me. I'm just kidding. What was that, Pepsi? Is that Pepsi? Pepsi, sponsor us. You could or you can. I am joking. I am too retarded to call in, but I'll listen. Dude, I could get a Zoom call set up, and if they wanted to join just through audio, we could do that. Let's do that. I will work on that sometime. I still have to do some. I gotta lay some chat. I want to show you my tile work because I know we've been talking about. I was laying tile last week. Let me send this to myself real quick, and I am going to.
The Jew froze Jewing.
Sorry, took me a breather break.
Malarkey, yeah, we'd let you call in.
Oh, he's ex-Catholic. Over 10 years, was really religious. Were you raised in a Catholic school? Because I've come across a absurd amount of people that were raised Catholic and left the faith because of Catholic school. Like it's sad to see how many people I've come across like that. Gregory, welcome. You could set up a Zoom, but would you set up a Zoom? Yeah, I could. Will I is the question. I think will I? I don't know. We'll see if I get to it. Whatever you set up is predetermined. Dad was Muslim. That's odd. Studied a lot of faiths. See, I would say I don't know if I would studied, but I've definitely looked into other things. Maybe more than I should have. Let me go get this thing. I want to show y'all my tile work. You're gonna hopefully be impressed, chat. Jack, I'm glad you started thinking about yourself. You were in the good guys team now. Oh Lord.
Honestly, I mean,
you went to Catholic school. That answered my question.
Sometimes I'll be honest. I think a lot of people. There's a lot of people out there that, let's be honest, they don't need to be thinking for themselves. They just need to be told what to do, and that's that. You're gonna dox yourself? Nah, I'm kidding. It looks pretty good, dude. Finally getting your contractors out of the house.
Chat. What I told y'all, if this doesn't work out. We gotta get the room painted too. It's gonna be a wider color. If this thing doesn't work out here,
this thing of ours,
I'm gonna go do things with my hands. This is tile work. Let me. If anybody's interested in doing tile work, Do not do herringbone pattern. It is not worth it. Not worth it.
Is that what that is?
Yeah, that's like 55 hours of work hours, just laying the tile. That's just laying the tile, nothing else.
Damn.
Probably 45 to 55 hours of work.
It looks
miserable,
good, though.
Boys, miserable. Jack said, I'm a lawyer now. Yeah, I need to go be a lawyer instead of laying tile. All right, boys.
I would be a lawyer too, but it's too easy.
That the free will defense fails. Like all this, like under
Like I
your
said,
view,
if you
under
want
your
to have
view,
it
free
fail,
will.
no problem. I don't know why it's relevant to the issue.
Do you acknowledge that under your view, free will doesn't exist?
No.
Oh, then do you want to respond to the argument?
You'll have to phrase it more
Sure,
clearly
okay.
so that someone
So-
like me can understand
Yeah,
it.
yeah, gotcha.
He was, regardless of his, if Peterson was a Christian or not, he is way out of his depth for these kind of debates.
Yeah. These.
It's definitely a young man's game.
Yeah.
For sure.
For sure.
And not brain fried.
Not
So
benzo
God
fried.
already knows in advance everything that's going to happen, which means that by making this world instead of that world, everything is inevitable, which means that God's act of causing this world instead of that
Inevitable
world,
doesn't mean determined.
it's causally inevitable if God chooses this world instead of that world.
Doesn't make it
Causally,
determined.
causally inevitable means determined.
No, it doesn't.
Absolutely, yes, it does.
Well, have it your way.
okay.
That's not the case.
You've been voted out by the majority. Please return to your seat.
I mean, it's definitely, I think it's out of his wheelhouse too. I don't think he's dove into these concepts enough to be able to defend them like someone like, I've said Frank Turek earlier.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, these are very, I wouldn't say niche, but they're not psychological questions to dive into.
Right.
Far more accurate than you might initially think. When Peterson talked about God, he was doing so from a world of meaning and his purely psychological perspective. So the reason that he says that he and Christians don't mean the same thing when they're talking about God is because Christians tend to approach the question of God from the starting point of believing that God created the world and that God is the one who gives our lives meaning according to his purpose. But from Peterson's purely psychological perspective, it's almost backwards. For Peterson, as humans, we created God for the purpose of us giving our lives meaning and purpose. Remember, he's operating from a purely psychological perspective of the world. So in other words, the God that Peterson believed in at this time would not be real in the sense that if none of us existed, then God would still exist. Instead, God only existed in the minds of humans since he believes that humans created stories about God as a way to describe our behavior and orient our lives towards something greater. So,
Raphael says, I don't know if this is showing up in the YouTube chat or not, but not gonna lie, I'm a weird atheist. I believe in gender roles and family unity, marriage by church if you are religious, and even women should stay at home raising kids and men working. Do you not believe in God, or do you not specifically believe in a Abrahamic God? It sounds like you're a universalist. If I would throw some labels.
I definitely think there's the possibility of like people coming to, because the word of the law is written on the hearts of all men. People can logic their way into the Christian morality, but it's still not enough without Jesus, because then it's you don't have the ought.
Yeah, I wonder if, are you like an actual atheist, or do you not believe in Christianity or a Abrahamic God? I've tried to come to a conclusion what this weird state of mind is, still have no idea, but I don't believe in a superior being capable of controlling it. Okay, so he answered. I don't, yeah. You got a big problem there, buddy. You got to make a connection somewhere. Either God exists, and he doesn't. Like, I don't, like, you got a disconnect there that you're gonna have to figure out. I mean, I don't even know what to say to that. I mean, you acknowledge all of it and then deny the thing. Yeah, I mean, like Josh said, you can logic your way to it's general revelation is what it is. You can general revelation your way to, I think, an Abrahamic God. If you ask me how we come to conclusion what's right and wrong, I have no idea either. Well, I mean, everyone has morality within them. This is why Jack wants to pan it off to society. But the problem is Jack is bound by himself, and that is all. If there is no objective standard, then whatever subjective standard you throw out is only subjective to yourself, right? Even saying society is the standard is only a position in yourself as an individual. Society doesn't deem itself the standard for the thing. And law doesn't mean morality. I mean, could God exist? I just don't think humans have access to know for a fact that there is a God. Faith isn't the best way to find truth. I would agree that faith isn't the best way to find truth. I'm atheist because I believe in God, because I don't believe in God, but I am agnostic because I don't know. I don't think agnostics exist. Because belief isn't a thing that you can just limbo in. It either is or isn't. It's on or off. It's an on or off switch. There is no middle to linger in. But I mean, I guess you could say he's an agnostic atheist. We're all bound by ourselves. Yes. I think we are all bound by ourselves. Malarkey said, I'm not sure if I'd call myself atheist. I acknowledge that Christianity is the best religion, just not at the point to take that leap of faith literally, if that makes sense. Yes, that makes sense. I mean, yeah, that's quite literally the leap of faith is Christianity. You're just using God to bolster your moral position. I don't see the issue here. I'm not using God to bolster my moral position. I wouldn't agree with the moral position that is within Christianity. If it was up to me, I wouldn't. I'll only use it to quote unquote bolster my moral position because it is true. There are many, many things that are true that I wish weren't, but they are. And so it is what it is. I won't deny what is true for, I guess you could call it some type of self-preservation. I use God to bolster my moral position, quote unquote, because it is true. If it's not true, then there's no reason to bolster my moral position because it doesn't matter, because it is mine, my moral position, not society's. I know society can only be fixed by following Christianity, but I don't want to be mixed into that. I can take fake being one just to cure this problem we have, but I don't want to follow the church path. I think the institution of religion within the United States I don't think is a net good in itself. I think it is weak. And Ninja would agree with me on this, but I do think that an institution as church is good, right? Cultural Christianity is good. This is why most atheists agree with it. I think this is what Raphael is saying, right? Where Richard Dawkins goes on Alex O'Connor shows and says he's a cultural Christian. This is what Elon Musk says. He's a cultural Christian, right? Everybody's a cultural Christian because they understand that it is the best way moving forward, right? This is the West. What'd you say?
Basically, the point he's making is like, you know, he can't have his cake and eat it too. He's saying it's very clear that like when everyone was Christian, society was better, you know, with all these like foreigners coming in and bringing all their weird religions and whatnot. Clearly, like this is not, to any rational person, Islam is clearly not as good as Christianity. From just like if the goal is not to kill people and have a prosperous society, yes, Christianity is obviously a better religion, but like, it's one of those things where it's like, oh, at least he's saying, well, I can fake it. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But the truth is that's not good enough. No one can effectively fake it. You have to, like, it's this idea. It's like people say, oh, if I do everything right, but I don't believe in God, am I a bad person? It's like, first off, not even Christians can do everything right. But even if we're saying like the best life you could lead, you know, hypothetically, can you get there without God? It is impossible. It is not, you can say it all you want. And you can even argue that it could logically happen. There's nothing logically holding you back. But the thing is, it will never happen. It's like it's like, well, there's nothing logically stopping everyone from voting for the same person, but it will never happen. It is just so far beyond the realm of possibility that yes, it is possible, but it will never happen. In the same way, you cannot be an effective Christian unless you are Christian.
I think Jordan Peterson is an example of that.
Yeah, exactly.
I think we're all agnostic if we are honest. No one can know for sure that God exists. You just think you choose to believe in God, but you don't know with certainty that you aren't wishful thinking. I think it's knowable that God exists. That is knowable.
You can get logically to the conclusion that God exists. But even I am very comfortable in my belief that God exists, but even I can't say that I know it for an absolute fact. There could be arguments that I just haven't considered yet. But the point being is like, you will never, like, if the goal is not to know things absolutely. You can try all you might, but it's the same thing. It will never happen. No matter how long humanity is here, it's like how atheists have this fantasy about, like, what if this hyper advanced alien race came and they just like told us everything? Well, okay, you're assuming that a race of biological entities that have like basically no free will built into them will come to the right conclusions. You know what I mean? There is no secret knowledge that you can uncover somewhere out there in the universe that is going to help you figure out what is true. Science can only get you so far.
He follows up with, you weren't present to witness the resurrection or the miracles. I would even go as far to say as, even if you were present to witness the resurrection of miracles, you still can't know for 100% that Jesus Christ is God. But I disagree with you when you say that you can't know for sure that God exists. Right? These are two separate things. I think you can know for sure that there's a logical conclusion. If logic is sound, which I think we both agree it is. You're a lawyer. I would hope that you believe that logic has a foundational objective standard and isn't bound to an individual. It's not subjective. You can logically get to God exists. Now, getting to Christ is God is a leap of faith. And I think that is exactly what Christianity is.
Right.
Oh, we're behind. We got to catch up.
You can come up with an argument, and it basically comes down to this: we've exhausted all of our knowledge about the universe. We've exhausted it, and and this is why I believe in a God. Is basically atheist or naturalist arguments in favor of the universe aren't as good arguments that a God created it. You know what I mean? Like atheist arguments aren't as good as theistic arguments. So you could reason that therefore a theistic God exists, or even a deistic God.
All right, let's jump into this real quick. Chat, we'll catch up with you here in a second. Let me see. Jump back on this Jordan Peterson thing.
Peterson's world was turned upside down in April of 2019 after his wife Tammy was diagnosed with the rapidly growing kidney cancer that doctors gave 100% fatality rate within a year, regardless of any medical treatments. This only added to the stress and problems that impacted him and his family, which led him to take benzodiazepine, an anti-anxiety and sleeping aid, which would eventually become another problem. He essentially found himself unable to get off of the pills when he no longer needed them, something that would eventually lead Peterson to have to check himself into a rehab center. Here, he dealt with incredible physical complications from the withdrawals and even battled questions of whether he wanted to continue to live or not. And to make matters worse, this lasted for nearly a year. His daughter Michaela released a video during this time saying that both Jordan and Tammy Peterson almost died multiple times during this season. Tammy was in the hospital and things were looking as bad as ever.
I want to make this note too. Really briefly, Jordan Peterson's not American.
Once again, there was no known solution to Tammy's kidney cancer, but the doctors were doing everything that they could to help her. Sadly, this resulted in multiple failed surgeries until the absolutely unexpected happened. This time, it wasn't something that Peterson could easily explain, and it wasn't something that his logical thinking side could wrap around, and this would become a major turning point in Peterson's life.
He had to fly to the US to get surgery again, and nothing was working. And at some part through that experience, she found God. This is when things got.
Raphael says, thank you for your time and answering the questions. Yeah, I mean, I try to engage with chat as much as I can. Y'all stop by anytime. I'll interrupt. As long as it's nothing like crazy. Usually we're chilling after about, 30, 45 minutes of this and try to get it going. Thank you for your time. Answer questions. You been a help in thinking in another way. Well, thanks, dude. Hopefully, we get this Zoom call thing set up. Y'all can call in audio only if you want to. And, dude, I would like to moderate debates too. Have I told you that?
You mentioned
I'll just have to organize it. I feel like that would be interesting.
Like online or
both?
I don't
Chat,
know
we got I got a full debate set up. All right, check this out, right? I don't know if you can see it. There's my other mic, other chair. Boom. Moderator, debaters. Let's go. Ready, set, go. Send me somebody to debate or somebody for Josh to debate. I'll moderate it. And then we'll go from there. StreamYard is better than Zoom. Zoom is integrated within the Ecamm Live that I use. Ecamm Live is just essentially OBS. So it's easier. Sorry, man. We could probably get StreamYard set up eventually, though. Peterson is a Xanax junkie. I've unfortunately dated that type before. She then found Andrew Tate's deep. Yeah, well, this is a thing. This is a comment I made earlier. Is Jordan Peterson starting his parenting series on Daily Wire? So I mean, this is his. I guess you could call it a 3 or 4 daughter, and he's going to be advising people on parenting. Now, I will say this. Like I said, I'm a Jordan Peterson expert, Josh. And a lot of stuff that he's kind of said is very good about parenting. The problem is his presentation of what he has parented isn't very promising.
Mm-hmm.
What's erudite? I know that word. Why is she a 3 or 4? Let me see if I can find the video.
What's a 304?
Upside down hoe. HOE. What's this upside down?
Oh, I got you.
Maybe that's what Jack's asking. I don't even know how to spell her name. Michaela. Wow. Did they have to sit down and talk about it? It was Jordan Peterson about Andrew.
In 2019, I was in Germany, and Andrew Tate bought me tickets to fly to Romania to go discuss business and then to fly back to Canada. I basically said yes to opportunities, and I didn't see a reason to not go talk to a millionaire about how he made money. So anyway,
also she was a single mom.
I forgot about that.
She was a single mom. Yeah, she is what she is. It's just this thing that we're after truth. Annoying, but she's not bad. I mean, she says good things, but the problem is her actions don't represent what she says. This is the same thing with all of these people. They've all sold their souls, dude. They all do things that they preach against, essentially. All right, Mr. Jefferson, let me address the other thing I said the other day that I was mixed up on. What was it? Sympathy, empathy?
Mm.
You were correct. I'm sorry. I wasn't in the right frame of mind. I don't know. I'm not going to use an excuse. This is why I'll never make it, dude. I'll admit to my downfalls, my mistakes. Jordan Peterson's Jungian analysis of archetypes and myth, like sacrifice and hierarchy, appeals to those valuing traditional structure, though he rejects ethno-nationalism. No, he does not reject ethno-nationalism. He only rejects ethno-nationalism
in America.
Or in white countries. White countries.
That is why your ancestors come here.
Because they could not have built America by themselves.
It is perfectly reasonable for me to wish to oppose that.
No, I was going to say the empathy sympathy thing. I want to bring back. There was a study done on Chad. If you're listening now, Mr. Jefferson was it yesterday? No, last week. Kind of ask a question of, are women more empathetic and not sympathetic, or something to that effect? There was a study done on little girls and little boys playing with dolls, and what they came to the conclusion was when little girls play with dolls, they become the doll, right? As if they are the doll. And when
little boys project their wishes onto the doll.
Is that correct? Let me see if I can find that study.
They make the doll behave the way they want or how they would want to.
Well, come on, stupid. Study on dolls. Goodness. Okay, dude, why's my keyboard not connecting? Sorry, chat. Josh, say words to him. Mike Tyson reacts.
Oh, geez, excuse me. If you're just getting here, Jordan Peterson is not a real Christian. I do feel for the guy, though. Yeah, I mean, like, he is a grifter and he is a net negative for our cause, basically. But or at least he is now. He's served his purpose.
So show that playing with dolls helps children develop social skills, empathy, and social processing, even when playing alone. That's not what I wanted. The boys v girls. None with old preferred girl toys such as dolls, baby carriages. No, this is everybody knows this. Girls like
Girls
people,
like
boys like
babies.
things. Projection. I don't know if I'm gonna come get with the study. Polygamy is a source of social entertainment. What I encourage engage with toys associated with their gender, like trucks, girls. Okay, I know that. That's not what I'm looking for. Stupid.
Of boys and toys?
I don't think so. Robust sex differences in child's toys. I'll have to find the study and bring it back up. But basically it said something to the effect of boys try to become the toy and girls try to project themselves into the doll itself. Does that make sense?
Boys,
like if
boys
I'm playing with the He-Man, if I'm playing with the He-Man toy, I'm He-Man.
It's
Yeah.
What would I do if I were He-Man?
Yeah.
It's for girls, it's like, let me make this doll into me.
Yes, very manipulative.
Manipulative.
Top G, what's up, dude? What color is your Bugatti? Top G in the chat. We're talking about Andrew Tate anyway, so here we are.
Like spooky weird. She wasn't eating. She was being fed through a tube. It was bad. And she goes, I'll be better by our anniversary. And my parents' anniversary, it's mid-August. And we're like, okay, mom, mom's on morphine. I'll be better by our anniversary. She flew down to the States and had the surgery, and the surgery failed. And on their anniversary, she recovered. And nobody understood why, right? And all the doctors didn't understand why, and nobody understood why. And it was kind of like, oh, that's a weird day. And you said that was going to happen a month ago. And how is that possible? And she was like, God. And I was like, okay, not entirely sure how I can logic my way out of that.
Needless to say, this journey was very difficult for Peterson and his family, but his wife's miraculous recovery was an event that Peterson wasn't able to fully explain.
Raphael said, but I never believed I was a Blade. This study isn't great. Oh man, that's funny. I was a Beyblade dude. We just spin around in circles. I'm just a kid. Let's see. Jack says, why does that matter? When I was young, I had stuffed animals that I thought I was like its friend or its parent. It just matters because Tyrone Jefferson asked the other day if women are more empathetic and cannot be sympathetic. I think that was a question he asked.
Yeah. Or a statement he
I was
made.
just trying to connect those two, that women are... I'm going to mess them up again. Anyway, I think that study carries a little bit weight on that question. Women do the father, but
I mean, we definitely find that and bring it up.
When Peterson finally came back into the public eye, it seemed that these experiences may have caused a change in the attention that he gave towards Christianity. By 2021, Peterson was talking about Christianity now more than ever, and he also appeared to be visibly wrestling with these miracles in Christianity given his view of the world. Perhaps the clearest example of this was during a conversation with Jonathan Pajot when Peterson unexpectedly broke down crying, trying to make sense of Jesus given his purely psychological view of the world.
Difference, and C.S. Lewis pointed this out as well, the difference between those mythological gods and Christ was that there's a historical representation of his existence as well. And so what you have in the figure of Christ is an actual person who actually lived.
Are we doing this, Jack?
Myth.
Hold on. Would you say, he says, even if the study is true, I could chalk it up to how women are raised versus how men are raised. Well, first of all, the study controls. Second of all, the study doesn't prove innate differences. Are you denying biological differences in men and women? Specifically neural?
So here you have a hardcore determinist that believes that, at least that comment would imply he believes that masculinity and femininity are psychological as opposed to programmed.
But it's not real, Josh. Nothing is real.
But they don't have free will
outside of the physical.
That's crazy.
In order to prove innate differences, you need to account for how boys and girls are raised differently. They control for that. I mean, that's been controlled for probably since, I don't know, mid 1800s, if you will. Probably before that. It's simple. Peterson is a perennialist. There, the mystery is revealed. Yeah, he's some type of Jeffersonian deist.
And in some sense, Christ is the union of those two things. The problem is I probably believe that, but I don't know. I'm amazed at my own belief, and I don't understand it. Like, because I've seen sometimes the objective world and the narrative world touch.
So I watched this when it happened. I watched this interview when it happened, Josh, and I was like, dude, he's there. He's gonna cross the line, because this was pre-Brenzo. I was like, he's there. He's gonna become a Christian and then say that he is. I mean, this is very telling here. But here we are, like 3-4 years later.
No, that's Jungian synchronicity. And I've seen that many times in my own life. And so in some sense, I believe it's undeniable. You know, we have a narrative sense of the world. For me, that's been the world of morality. That's the world that tells us how to act. It's real. Like, we treat it like it's real. It's not the objective world. But the narrative and the objective world touch. And the ultimate example of that, in principle, is supposed to be Christ. But I don't know what to... that seems to me oddly plausible.
Yeah.
But I still don't know what to make of it. It's too... partly because it's too terrifying a reality to fully believe. I don't even know what would happen to you if you fully believed it.
If you believed in the story of Christ, or if you believed that history and let's say the narrative make meet, let's
both,
say.
I think. I think you... Because when you believe...
The problem is, I don't necessarily disagree with anything he says.
Yeah.
It's just that he doesn't take it all the way.
It's the thing. It's like, because he's not saying the words, Jesus Christ is the Son of God, he's real, and like,
I think he understands the power behind it, and for him to say that would be taking it too far. Right? He's very reserved with a lot of his with a lot of what he espouses, I think. And so for him to make that claim is very... To take it back would be unforgiving. Does that make sense? And
yeah.
But that's the problem, though, isn't it? Right?
I think you're right.
Isn't that what the faith is, loosely? Having the faith that the thing is true, and therefore taking that step. Chat, where we at? Yeah, we're still going. Gender isn't sex. Yes, it is. that was an easy rebuttal.
Yeah. Gender is the kindergarten and fifth grader friendly way of saying sex.
I think there are social roles. For instance, XY male could have complete androgen sensitivity syndrome, and their phenotype is female. They have breast, vagina. They are going to be feminine. Yeah, but they're not a female. Though. Yeah, you can say feminine. Well, it doesn't carry any weight.
This is the point. Is we're arguing that there are biological imperatives within us that make you masculine, that make you feminine. You can have some genetic deformity or misfiring that causes it to be wrong. And then they say, well, here's the exception. Okay, but that doesn't disprove the rule. Like,
yeah, it would be like saying humans don't have 5 fingers or 10 fingers because polydactyl people exist.
Right. Yes. It's like, okay, the cheetah is the fastest land animal. Well, I saw a cheetah at the zoo with no legs. Okay, well, okay, that is not the fastest land animal, but cheetahs generally are.
I think there are biological differences because of the higher presence of testosterone makes men different, but there are some women that are more masculine than others.
Yeah,
where does the
know.
increase in testosterone come from? It comes from where you stated earlier, the XY chromosomes, where the chromosomes are explicitly different. The essence of the thing that the chromosomes are creating are different. And so it doesn't matter how much testosterone or how much estrogen you pump into a thing, it doesn't change the essence of it, right? And this is the same argument for marriage, right? What is the essence of marriage? The essence of marriage is to procreate. This is why gay marriage isn't a thing. Raphael's talking about Jordan Peterson. I used to watch his videos, kind of helped me, but I never... Dude, he helped so many people. But, you know, pre-COVID, Jordan Peterson was phenomenal. But he sold out. Something happened between selling out to the Daily Wire and the drug addiction. Something happened in between there that he just stopped and reverted. I don't know. I mean, he was so close. I mean, you're looking at it right now. He's breaking down from just the thought of Christ being true.
Mm-hmm.
People saying he's being manipulated by the Daily Wire people. Others say that he just drugs that he's into. I don't know if he's still on the drugs, but I know if you go on benzo bender for a few months, you're gonna fry your brain, and that's what happened. And then they picked up Daily Wire after that. Yeah, I mean, it was definitely a turning point. Both of them were definitely a turning point. I mean, he went on, did some MK Ultra Light in Russia to get off the benzos. What do you mean gender isn't biological sex? Ninja got him. He says gender is mental and mental isn't real. It's an illusion, self-contradiction. Yeah.
That's what we were saying a second ago. I mean, exactly.
Gender benders are under illusion. Gender doesn't exist. Yeah. Please no mountain analytic interpretation of gender here. Thank you, chatter. Just put the fries in the bag. A person with CADE will have a gender or female despite being biologically male. I don't know exactly what CADE is, but I'm sure that's I don't know. We got to catch up, chat. Sorry. Taken said I never bought his act. I don't think it was an act before the sellout. I don't think it was. I think he was truly after something. And I think once he realized what it actually was, in this clip, it kind of shows it the power that he gives to the thing. He doesn't want to accept that it has that power, and that's what a lot of people do. This is the hardening of the hearts, is that they don't want to accept what is true, because accepting what is true binds you to the thing,
yes.
the truth. It binds you to it, and so you cannot have your own morality. You cannot have subjective morality anymore. Right?
It's basically like when you explain to boomers now how Donald Trump, like, hey, he moved the meter in the right direction, but he ain't it. He's not what you think he is. They can't accept it because they have to believe that something positive happened in their lifetime. They can't accept that, like, everything they've witnessed their entire lives was in the wrong direction.
Yes.
And it's like they can't accept it because of where they are in life. Because it's easy for someone in their 20s to be like, oh, everything before me sucked, but we're finally getting better. It's easy for them to accept that. Older people can't do it because like for them to basically go like, everything I thought was a lie, it's hard to admit that to yourself. And you know, like Jack Devaney and a lot of these atheist types, they pretend that everyone is acting, even themselves, they're acting purely on like logical arguments and whatnot. Nobody is like that. Like you and I even, and even this guy, you know, they're all acting on feeling, whether they like to admit it or not. The atheists do. I mean, those atheists in the Jubilee video, they get a high from feeling like they're the shit, from like making other people look stupid. They get a high from
Hitchens.
Yeah. I mean, you're right.
I know I'm right. Tyrone said he should have stuck to straightening feminists. Yes, and he actually talks about this. He actually talks about this where a hierarchical structure within the fields allows for one to transcend this hierarchy, right? And he uses the example of the back of the $1 bill where there's a pyramid, and at the top there's a detached eye that caps the pyramid. Once you reach this hierarchy, which Jordan Peterson did in this field of psychology as a professor, he reached this top of his hierarchy where there was nowhere else to go, and he was then allowed by the masses to take his little a piece of psychology and place it throughout all the other pyramids. He has this transcendent position that has then allowed him to dive into politics or religion because he has essentially transcended his field of expertise. And you could take this and apply it across the board with someone like Neil deGrasse Tyson, right? Think of him what you will, but he has been given this permission because he's transcended his field to be allowed to have a position of authority in these other fields. That's just the nature that comes with it. And what happens is people take it lightly, and then it all crumbles because they're granted that authority without actually having to have work for it in a field that they don't belong. Jack Devaney says, seriously, look at what complete androgen sensitivity syndrome looks like. It looks like a woman. Well, I would ask you, if a dude transitioned into a woman, let me word this correctly. If a dude put on a dress and makeup and fake tits and appeared to be a woman, is that dude a woman? Just because it looks like a thing doesn't make it so. Drugs are
Is
bad.
a yellow chameleon yellow?
Their gender is female through their genetics are male. That doesn't make any sense.
No, that again, like you can use semantics to justify anything. Zeb and I deny the existence of gender. There is no gender identity. There is only what you are.
There's no spectrum.
Yes.
It's a light switch.
Exactly. And you can bring up all of these cases. So you what's the word?
Androgenic? No, androgen is
frick.
What's it called?
The hermaphrodites.
Oh, hermaphrodites.
You can bring up hermaphrodites, but you wouldn't say, okay, so you have someone with XY chromosomes, but they have natural looking tits and a vagina. And you say, well, they appear to be a woman. They were born with those. They think they're a woman. Well, actually, they're a hermaphrodite man. You can like that. That's what it is. You're like, we're not going to say a hermaphrodite man is the exact same thing as a total XX chromosome woman. Like in the same way, a Down syndrome black baby is still a black baby, but it also has Down syndrome. Things can have multiple different attributes and whatnot. So clearly, a completely healthy, well-formed human male, a completely healthy, well-formed human female, and a hermaphrodite male that resembles a woman, they are in 3 distinct categories. But if you're broadening it, you would say, yes, the hermaphrodite man is still a man with a deformity.
Yes, again, it's the essence of the thing. Clearly, Jordan Peterson David, welcome to stream, believes in belief in God far more than he believes in a personal God. Does truth... he believes in God. I don't think... He doesn't deny God anymore, as he says. He doesn't accept Christ as God. Or at least he doesn't claim that he accepts Christ as God, and it's essentially the same thing. If you deny Christ as God, then you deny Christ, right? He finishes, does the truth derive from authority or does authority derive from truth? The truth does not derive from authority. Authority derives from truth, right? Truth gives things authority. But you can also have something that isn't truth give something authority too. Authority is a, construct.
Well, yeah, and it's like it's completely contextual. It's like, does truth come from authority or authority come from truth? Like, where are you getting that these two things are even connected?
I mean, there's a case to be made that.
I mean, I get what he's saying, but like even Jordan Peterson, like a preacher who's in jail has no authority. Like, I guess it means on what you mean by authority.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on what you mean by authority for sure. But I mean, I think either way, authority is a construct, whether that is a construct of truth or construct of power of the people, if you will. Let me get down. I'm going to skip a couple of these things.
That you buy both those stories. You believe that the narrative and the objective can actually touch.
This may have been the first time that most of us understood just how strongly Peterson seemed to be wrestling with the thought of Christianity and if it could actually be true beyond a purely psychological perspective. The reason why this was so conflicting for Peterson was because, as we know, in his world of meaning, or the narrative world as he calls it here, all meaning had to be created by humans. But when it comes to the story of Christ, if the story really happened in the world of matter or objective reality, then Christ would have to precede a world of meaning. Maybe Jesus wasn't just a perfect archetype that we created for the purpose of giving our lives meaning and orientation. Instead, maybe this perfect archetype that we find in the story of Jesus could actually be an objectively real and perfect person instead of merely the idea of perfection. If so, it wouldn't be us judging ourselves by the standard in a pragmatic and a fictional sense, but instead it would be Jesus judging us in a very real and consequential sense. This would also mean that meaning didn't start from human minds, but instead it would start from a cosmic mind that created us. But probably even more frightening for Peterson was that if this were true, then this would mean that Peterson's purely psychological view of the world would have to be completely wrong, destroying assurance in everything that he believed. This is part of the reason for why such a possibility is both terrifying and beautiful to Peterson at the same time. But although the interview showed Peterson wrestling with the thought of Christianity being true in what we might call an objective sense, we never got a final conclusion during that episode as to if he changed his psychological perspective of the world or not. Was this a turning point for Peterson, or was it just a one-off? Well, we got some more insight into that question sometime after the episode when Peterson was being interviewed on the Joe Rogan Experience, and during the episode, Peterson made this bold claim about the Bible.
And so it isn't that the Bible is true. It's that the Bible is the precondition for the manifestation of truth, which makes it way more true than just true. It's a whole different kind of true. And I think this is not only literally the case, factually, I think it can't be any other way. It's the only way we can solve the problem of perception.
Now, after this clip took the internet by storm,
so, I mean, he basically just kind of admitted that is about to come back. But he basically just admitted, like, it's not true. It's like a higher truth. So, yeah, you know, like we've known this forever. But yeah, it's what you're good. It's what do you mean was just saying, where it's like Jordan Peterson is wrestling with this. And I think like Nick basically said that it's like a malicious grift. I think that Peterson is conflicted. He's unsure and confused.
Well, it's like I was talked about earlier. Everything Jordan Peterson has done has been explicitly Old Testament. And you talk about he just wrote a book, We Who Wrestle with God. Right, this is the Old Testament, and you said he's conflicted. I think that is correct. I mean, like I said, the title of I haven't read the book, but that's basically what it is. I mean, we who wrestle with God, he's conflicted. But everything, like I said, everything he's done is explicitly Old Testament, right? This Genesis series was Old Testament. The Exodus series, where he sat at a round table with a bunch of I don't know, porn lovers, if you will. We could probably dive into that in a second. He is just I don't know what to say, man. I mean, he was so close at one time, and then it's just like a falling away, and everything now is just a grift. It seems like he's after money. Malarkey asked, am I going to Nashville? No, I'm not going to make it to Nashville. I am having a baby this weekend, so that's not happening, boys.
Congratulations.
Shooting for Friday. We'll see what happens.
What's the baby's name again?
We haven't even told anybody yet, Josh. I don't know. I don't even know yet, so we'll figure it out when we'll figure it out when it comes out.
Malarkey 222 should be a name.
We'll name him Malarkey.
Ninja of Spades, that's a good one.
Speaker's Corner. I think that answers your question. I don't even know what that is.
I don't know what that is either.
Speaker's Corner. Oh, chat. I did turn on. Don't post anything crazy. I did turn on links in chat. So if y'all have something you want reacted to, we can post that. So if somebody wants to find something, throw it. We can just test it out and see what happens. Speaker's Corner. Let's do a little Google here. Sorry. Wow. Do they bring on different people for debating? This was just posted.
I don't know if you want to take this.
Yeah, why not?
Extra literature is always good. It's from the Metropolitan Tabernacle.
Okay.
Charles Spurgeon used to preach there. It's a good church. I don't know, you'll probably have a contrary opinion to it, but you're very welcome to read it. It might be...
Thank you.
And about the KJV, you talked about Erasmus. And you said you were saying that it wasn't... You said that the KJV was based on 6 to 12 manuscripts, if I understand, from Erasmus. The KJV is based upon the works of Erasmus. To say the KJV is based upon the works of Erasmus would largely be unfair. The KJV is the work of 54 Bible experts in 1607, drawing from the...
Yeah, if you got a clip, shoot it to me, and we'll see. Links, keep it easy, boys. Keep it easy. Don't go crazy. Mainly religious debate between Muslims and Christians is pretty heated sometimes. Yeah, I would imagine so. Guy called Bob. How do we find Bob?
Yeah, what do we look for?
Eeny, meeny, miny. Is this guy Muslim that's running it?
I think so.
That's what it looks like to me. Bob. I don't see a Bob. Sorry, Gunnar, you're gonna have to shoot. Yeah, find the clip. Let's jump into. I wanted to touch on this Joe Rogan thing too before we get going too hard. We're gonna. I guess we don't have a ton of time. We'll watch a little bit of this, and then we're gonna dive into. We can talk a little bit about Joe Rogan going into Christianity.
And Jordan Peterson admit the Bible is true with this proof? Okay, no, really, this is their words, not mine.
Well, that's a kind of interesting proof, isn't it? Because it means that...
But the word on the street is that Joe Rogan is getting pulled closer to Jesus, as he may be appearing in places that Christians gather on Sunday. We've seen him have countless Christians on as of late, most notably Wes Huff with this controversial moment.
And the thing that really shocked scholars, like I said, this isn't true for all the Dead Sea Scrolls, but one of the things that shocked them about Isaiah was that it was word for word identical to the Masoretic text.
Word for word.
Word for word.
Wow. And this conversation left Joe Rogan speechless, even admitting that he can't stop thinking about it.
I had that Wesley Huff guy on. One of the most fascinating things that I can't stop thinking about is how the book of Isaiah from the Dead Sea Scrolls was verbatim the same as the book of Isaiah that they found 1,000 years later. Wow. 1,000 years. Wow. And it was exact, word for word. Yeah. Like, that's incredible.
And the atheist outrage about that was stunning. Now, interestingly enough, Jordan Peterson seems to be in a very similar position, as he has done a series.
It didn't post the link. I wonder if it's in, hold on. PFF, little ASMR. Little ASMR. It was like a fart. It didn't post link. Why didn't it post a link on our end? Let me see if it posted it here. No, it didn't. Why not? Why did it not post a link? I don't know how to fix that. Settings. Chat filter. Show all messages. Try to post it again. Community moderation. Live chat on. Anyone. Today's message on. Block words. Not
Block
words. It should be.
Chad, send us some money so I can do this full time with Zeb, please.
I'll have to look at it again. I guess it's not letting links post. I don't know why not. I thought I fixed it, Chad. I guess I didn't. Sorry.
On Exodus and a series on the Gospels. He stays surrounded with Christians of many denominations.
He did do a series on the Gospels too. I take back what I said about everything being Old Testament.
Being Old Testament. All right.
It's very. I haven't dove into the Gospel. I think it's only on Daily Wire. So catch the grift.
Noticeably, our friend Jonathan Peugeot, and of course, his lovely wife, Tammy Peterson, being a devout Catholic. Tammy, who we had here on this channel, share her faith journey. Although Jordan seems to weave in and out.
Unequally yoked, Josh? Unequally yoked much?
But they weren't. They were equally yoked when they were married.
Were they?
Yeah.
Of an orthodox position of Jesus and the resurrection, there was this moment where our friend Alex O'Connor kind of cornered Jordan Peterson on the resurrection, and his answer surprised us all. Thanks again, Alex.
Do you mean you believe that these are things that happened, such that that's a strange I know you don't like that. Let me put it this way: if I went back in time with a Panasonic video camera and put that camera in front of the tomb of Joseph of Arimathea, would the little LCD screen show a man walk out of that tomb?
I would suspect yes.
I mean, I'm personally a Canon guy myself. I love the color profiles on these things, but shout out to Panasonic. Yet, in some podcasts afterwards, he doesn't seem to communicate his position on the resurrection as clear, often going back to the psychological takeaways from Scripture, which I don't...
Yeah, I mean, that's basically what I said earlier. I think he believes that Jesus Christ was a real person, died, was crucified, died, buried, and rose again. I think he believes that. I don't think he can make that leap to say that Jesus Christ was God. I don't know what's stopping him other than obviously a hardened heart. I don't know what's stopping him other than that. I mean, we've watched the clips. He was there.
Yeah,
that one barrier.
And this idea about the resurrection even came up several weeks ago when I had the pleasure of going to dinner with Jordan Peterson and his lovely wife, Tammy, to hand-deliver them a physical copy of my new book, Godly Ambition. More on that later. Now, what happens when you bring Joe Rogan and Jordan Peterson together, both seemingly Jesus-curious or maybe even undercover Christians? Well, you get this 3-hour podcast with almost the entire podcast weaving in and out of biblical parallels and Christ ethos talks. But today, we're going to zoom in on one specific point where they both seem to admit that the scriptures are true with this proof. But before we get into that, guys, my name is Ruslan. This channel exists to encourage, empower, inspire you to live a life that blesses God. If you're new here, if you're not new here, do me a favor, make sure you're tapped in. Huge percentage of you guys just kind of let the algorithm tell you to watch my videos, and it would really mean the world to me if you engaged, followed us, and stayed subscribed. Let's jump into this video. All right, so we're gonna get into this first clip. It's about 1 hour and 53 minutes.
While you're here, you can go ahead and like and subscribe this one also, Josh.
Yeah.
And Dr. Jordan Peterson starts breaking down Jesus' sacrifice, what it really means. This is actually similar to the talk he gave in Loveland, Colorado, when I was with him and his wife in person. Me and John McCrae got to hang out. And it's this idea of sacrifice. And he really believes that self-sacrifice is the only thing that makes sense of the world. And of course, that is the massive overarching theme throughout Scripture.
Power, not hedonism, sacrifice. And then that motif is played out through the whole Bible, and that's what culminates in the New Testament, right? Total sacrifice as the foundation of the community. And that's right. I don't know what sense to make out of the metaphysics of the religious realm, because that's beyond me and everyone. The world's a strange place, and we could leave it at that. But the idea that, Christ is the exemplar of voluntary self-sacrifice, right?
Okay, so the idea of Christ being the exemplar of self-sacrifice, and then that being the motif that impacts the Christian, meaning that all of us to various degrees are sacrificing something in the present for something in the future. And Jordan Peterson is pointing out to how that makes the most sense of reality, and that Christ is the apex of that, right? Jesus is the apex of that. Now, spot on. But is there a line that we can go past that actually has a greater impact for us as followers of Jesus?
Won't turn to power, won't deviate from his course, faces the worst of all possible deaths, descends to hell itself. That's the pattern of life lived with no reserve. And that's the foundation of the free state. That's right. I tried that on Brett.
Okay, so he's going to get into trying that on Brett Weinstein, which oddly enough, when I went to ARC in London just a few months ago, I was on the same flight as Brett Weinstein to London, and me and him were we were boarding a little later in the process, and so we ended up having a conversation.
Our towns for 2,000 years, not really knowing why. And the reason is that voluntary self-sacrifice is the foundation of the integrated psyche and the stable, productive, and abundant community.
I love that he connects us to the community as a whole, because initially I heard it as just a psychological principle for a more fulfilled life. I would describe it like this: if you do what is easy, life will be hard. If you do what is hard, life will be easy.
Yeah.
Right? So if you intentionally...
All right. Ruslan talks more than I do. I sent you a clip of Bob. It's a recent video. Gives you an idea of what it's like there. All right. Let me pull that up. Boom, bang, pow. Messages. Nope. Dude, Elon needs to fix the bots on X. Oh, Lord. You got a timestamp?
Yeah, hour and 9 minutes. You're gonna need.
Find a timestamp real quick, or I'll scrub it real quick. Nubtoes, welcome to the stream, says he believes in the psychological truth of it, but not the metaphysical truth of it. Correct. Yeah, that's basically what we've been getting after. He uses the term metaphysical to basically agree that it is metaphysically true, but that's right. He believes it is psychological truth and not physical truth, if that means anything. Yeah, that's basically the conclusion that we've come to. Because it is greater than the physical world, he denies it in the physical world for some reason. Just run from the beginning, gives you an idea. Don't need to watch all. All right, well, I'll watch a quick second of it.
Real law, just to explain to people here that are ignorant,
like you.
It's just a law for Muslims, okay?
That's not true. He's just lied to you. Sharia law is to be imposed upon the Christians and the Jews.
Shall we?
Yeah?
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
Okay, so we read
yes, it is.
Shall we fact check?
Yes, shall we fact check? Shall we?
Yeah, because
how is Sharia law constructed?
That's it.
How is Sharia law constructed? How is Sharia law constructed? It's constructed by Muslim scholars through a process called usul al-fiqh. And these Muslim scholars reside in schools of thought called madhabs.
I'm assuming the guys debating are Muslim scholars or ex-Muslims. That's what it seems like. Because the other guy looked like he would have been Muslim, but I assume he's Christian.
Oh, I
Does
see
that
what
make
you're
sense?
saying. Yeah.
And all of those
He looks Muslim because he comes from
he's Arab.
Because he's Arab.
madhabs, they believe that the Christians should be made dhimmis.
Who are we debating earlier? Jack would say race isn't real, probably.
And a dhimmi is a second-class citizen in a Muslim state.
Not second class.
Yes, second class.
They have their own laws, which makes
second
them judges.
class.
Judges, according to your religion, is like the highest thing. They call themselves. They call the Jews. If you're judges, you're gods.
Let me ask you this question. Let me ask you a question.
That's the highest thing.
Let me ask you a question.
Right.
Let me ask you a question.
Sharia law.
So, ladies and gentlemen, he said that I was lying. He said that I was lying because I said that Christians are made second-class citizens. Let me give you an example. And just for the record, if you want...
For the record, I don't disagree with second-class citizenry.
Same.
It just depends on how it's applied.
To have a calm conversation that's timed, I'm willing to do that. But unfortunately, a Muslim friend here thinks that he is superior.
Yes, Willie PP, you are correct, Mr. Willie PP. Yeah, we need to reclaim America as Americans. It's quite literally that simple.
Interrupt the conversation and dominate. But let's be clear. Let's be clear. Who's the bigger?
Where's the Christianity? Where's the Christianity?
Right.
All you
so, ladies and gentlemen,
is propaganda. You search for.
It seems like these debates. This is what all these debates devolve into. There was a debate not too long ago, like a formal debate with a Muslim and a Christian, and they were debating, and the Christian obviously won. Like it was obvious he won, but then there was a bunch of Muslims saying that the Muslim won because of the appearance of the thing. The Muslim had more passion that he was putting into the debate, yet his points were refuted by the Christian. Mm-hmm. And I think that is kind of the mindset where the passion of the thing, the feeling of the thing makes it right for a lot of people, and not that it is right in itself. And sadly, it's a very IQ dependent thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that's what you got with when Andrew Wilson debated Ridvan, right? Mm-hmm. I think was apostate prophet. I think that's what you got. A lot of those Muslim converts, if you will, kind of saw Ridvan had more passion than Andrew did, but Andrew's points were true.
Yeah.
And then they eventually fell on
You see that a lot in like the black community as well. You get people like Dr. Umar Johnson, who is a very like charismatic, in your face kind of speaker, and that is in the you know, it's like how bad to say, but you know how like dogs don't understand the words you're saying, they just go off of the tone.
Yes,
it's like that.
Yes, very, very much so. He said there's a lot of jostling for the domination of the conversation. Yes, I think so. Yes, I know who Muhammad Hajib is. Hijab. Matter of rhetoric. Kind of. They place a very high presence of physical domination, if you will. It's still possible to take America and the Western world back. The Spanish took back their territory, 800 years of Muslim rule. Yeah. I don't disagree with that at all. One instance. I know a lot of people say it's impractical. I don't think it is impractical. Josh, you think it's impractical?
No.
200 million. That's the number we need to hit to deport. Deport 200 million people.
And all it would take is the will, because I mean, let's be honest.
We can do it. It's called American exceptionalism. We could do it.
And it's real.
It's real.
And it doesn't have to do with upbringing or environment.
Yes.
A lot of Christians took what he said to be further evidence that Peterson had indeed converted into being a Bible-believing Christian. Now, even though I can understand why people came to that conclusion, I still believe that people were misunderstanding his point. I made a video explaining what I believed him to be saying, which he seemed to confirm in a few tweets that he shared along with my video. It seemed to me that people in general were missing the point that he was trying to make. And although Peterson's view of Jesus did seem to be progressing to a point that his purely psychological view of the world wasn't able to account for, he seemed to retreat back to the limits of his psychological view.
We could say that in the highest sense, in the biblical corpus, God is the ultimate fictional character. And then we're trying to characterize his nature as that which should be emulated, that unites us psychologically and socially.
Now, though Peterson likely doesn't take fiction here to mean fake, he doesn't see his truth in the same way that most Christians do either. When it comes to a Christian view of the world, when most Christians talk about God, they mean that God is the ultimate real being that created us and the universe and exists regardless of human existence. So what did he think about hell?
You have to face the reality of hell. You might say, well, I don't believe in hell. It's like, well, do you believe in Nazi Germany? You know, do you believe in Stalinist Soviet Union or Maoist China or Cambodia? Hell is actually participation in the process that led to the establishment of those countries.
But of course, by hell, Christians usually mean eternal separation from a very real and eternal God after this life, not during. Very different from what Peterson is saying. And once again, by the resurrection of Christ, Christians are referring to the singular event in history of God bringing Jesus back to life after being dead for 3 literal days. So when it comes to questions of God, Jesus, hell, and the resurrection, his view hasn't seemed to change all that much, although it did seem to be the case that his view became more difficult for him to have everything fit into his purely psychological view of the world. At least that's what I thought.
Yeah, it's kind of like the idea that essentially what you have going on here is the meaning of the thing is greater than the thing of it in of itself, which that is what Jordan Peterson, that is the idea that Jordan Peterson can't let go of. Even if Jordan Peterson accepts that Jesus Christ is real, that Jesus Christ is the Son of God, and that he was literally risen from the dead, the thing that Jordan Peterson, as a professional psychologist or psychiatrist, whatever he is, the thing that he cannot let go of is this idea that the meaning of the thing is greater than the thing. And this is not enough. This is not true. Christ is perfect. Christ is everything we could ever need because he is God. You can believe all of the moral truth statements that Christians make, and you can do your best to fulfill them. But if you don't believe it, it is not enough. It is not enough. That is what Jordan Peterson can't get around. It's like with Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings, written by J.R.R. Tolkien. Great story, but it didn't happen. And the like a lot of the moral metaphors and like what the story is about, how it's like evil defeats itself, all these great things about the story. He thinks that it's like Lord of the Rings and the Bible are kind of in the same camp. And even if Jordan Peterson has come around to believing it's true, the fact that the meaning of it, or to him, the idea that the meaning of it is greater than the truth of it, he can't let go of that. That's what he's believed his whole life. That is the thing that he can't let go of. Hold on. Here we go.
Until I had a conversation with his daughter in 2022, shortly after she converted to Christianity. She told me at that time that his views may be changing from a purely psychological view of the world to something much more objective.
So if your dad kind of has more of that psychological perspective, you have more of like an objective kind of view of Christianity, right? Like this actually happened. Is that right? That's what I thought. And what do you think causes that difference?
So I think Dad goes back and forth. I think the longer he's talking about it, the more he's moving towards the objective view. Okay. I think understanding as much about psychology as he does, there's psychological significance to the Bible. And I believe it's objective, right?
Yeah,
so like there's psychological significance, like every aspect of the Bible in multiple ways, plus it's objective. And so I think he probably got wrapped up in the psychological significance. So I think he got wrapped up in that, but I also think that he's writing a book at the moment called We Who Wrestle with God. It's going to be intense.
So that's another thing worth mentioning is basically how she's talking about how, I believe it's psychologically true and objectively true. This is a meaningless distinction. Basically, I reject not only this idea of that the psychology and the meaning of Christianity is what makes it good. I reject that actually psychology is a meaningful way of discovering truth in any way. I mean, psychology might help you understand the way a person thinks, but this idea that like the good feeling of a thing is the best thing to come out of it, even if the good feeling is something like self-sacrifice, something like I'm going to lay down on the sword so that someone else can walk over me. Well, the idea of that being true feels good, and even doing it feels good, though we're self-sacrificing. That is not good enough.
Where are we at?
I'm watching the video. Just there's reviewing his talk with Michaela.
Okay. What is it? 441. We'll go a little bit longer. Anything you want to touch on, Josh, before we get going?
No, I'm good.
Let me see where Ruslan was at.
Kind of interesting proof. The idea that extracting these values, applying them to your life, it changing your maybe fit 7,500, so it wasn't like pack, but it was pretty full. Yeah, it was pretty full. What Joe Rogan says next, this will be the part that upsets
Christianity, regardless of whether or not you think logically these things took place.
Okay, so he's leaning into the idea of regardless on if you think everything is in the scriptures logically take place, meaning can you wrap your brain around it logically? Regardless on that, suspend that for a second. Listen to what he says next.
Logically, these stories are a completely accurate depiction of exactly how, if you follow the principles.
So regardless on if you believe that it's an accurate depiction, okay? If you follow the principles, of what Jordan Peterson is getting out with self-sacrifice.
It's incredibly beneficial.
It's incredibly beneficial. So what he's getting at is what we've been talking about on a macro scale. Tom Holland, the author and historian, not the Spider-Man actor, has this same idea in the Dominion book, right? He's talking about it more from the impact that Christianity has had on the world as a whole.
Yeah, this is why everybody's culturally Christian, including Richard Dawkins himself. Right? He claims to be cultural Christian. I mean, this was Joe Rogan not long ago at all. Let's see if I can. Oh, this is not what I was looking for. Let's see. I just want to find
yeah, all this stuff.
Joe Rogan just said that Christianity is the most.
Listen to.
Joe Rogan just said that Christianity is the most mocked religion in the world. Check this out.
I think that if Christianity had been any other religion, Christianity is the most mocked religion. Like we want to look at religions with respect and dignity, whether it's Islam or Hinduism. We look at those with respect and dignity. And even if they have practices that we don't agree with, we sort of give them this leeway that it's part of their religion. Yeah. Christianity is the most openly, easily mocked of all religions. It's the most derived. For whatever reason,
it's the most mocked.
Not a clip I was looking for, but I mean, he would, dude. I mean, even like, would you say like 2 years ago, 3 years ago? I mean, he was outright just mocking Christianity. Sounds arrogant Christian.
People say, really? Jesus fucking resurrected from the dead? Well, Romans and Jewish people, everybody agreed he died. And they buried him in a tomb. And then 3 days later, the tomb's empty. And they say 500 people saw him in the town. 500 independently sourced people saw him. This existed and this happened.
But you're talking about historical scholars from 2,000 years ago.
Right.
And their knowledge of science and life and the universe itself was extremely limited. Everything was based on gods and demons and...
Okay, so then what about this? What about the 500 people that saw him in the town over the next 6
What's his name, Chris?
Like, it's D something. Like, I can't remember.
That show he did with Joe was pretty good. I mean, he's not an apologist. He's not a Christian apologist, but
no.
He definitely kind of, I think him and some of the other guys that Joe has on kind of opened the door for.
Yeah. Like it sometimes it takes that. Sometimes it takes like
an imperfect person.
a baby Christian who
just
like
to kind of toss questions out there, make you think. I think that's exactly what happened.
Scrivener also wrote about this in his book, The Air We Breathe, in terms of the net positive Christianity has brought on the world as a whole. Joe Rogan is making this more personal.
Ruslan talks too much.
The certainty comes on the other side of the experience. Oftentimes, we want the certainty before we're willing to walk through the process, but that's a backwards approach to these things because the hard things take some convincing for us to walk out.
Yeah.
It means that
there's truth in it.
Well, there's certainly the spirit that makes, what would you say? The spirit of truth that makes life more abundant. That's exactly right. And these are weird stories because
the spirit of truth that makes life more abundant. John 10:10, Jesus says, the enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy, but I have come to give you life and life more abundant. It's interesting when you look up that word.
That's different than a story about the past. Like the truest story is always happening. The story of Moses is exactly like that. Like the pattern of leadership development that's embedded in the Exodus story. That is how leaders develop. If they're
okay, so
I mean, you have to understand that the Bible has been dissected for 2,000 years, right, Josh?
Yeah.
We're not going to come to any like final conclusion.
No,
or in the next year.
It will always, until the end of time, be debated and misunderstood and revered and hated.
Because the truth is divisive inherently. I did not come to bring peace, but a sword. And the sword is truth, Josh.
Mm-hmm.
That's your Bible lesson for today. What, wow, my hair looks crazy. Sorry, chat. I'm going to do better for y'all.
It's starting to look like me.
What else you want to jump on today? Anything?
No, I'm.
What's in the news? Dude, I haven't even had a chance to scroll Twitter.
The big beautiful bill is being ripped apart, and like we were saying with Rodney, I mean, my grandma, I sent her the show we did on Friday, and she was like, "Did y'all even talk about it?" And I was like, "No, there's nothing. There's nothing to say."
The bill,
the big beautiful bill. It's nothing. I mean, Trump's not the. I am 100% rooting for Putin, dude. That's not, he invaded Kiev or attacked it directly.
He just had an assassination attempt on him too.
I did not.
You didn't know that?
No. When did this happen? Today? Yesterday?
Like last week.
Oh, no, I hadn't heard this.
Really?
How? Like in what way? Was a bomb, a gun? Like someone get close? What happened?
Well, let's take a look, boys. The Google knows.
Wait, Putin or Zelensky?
Putin. Putin assassination. 2 days ago, assassination attempt on Putin. Russian official claim helicopter at epicenter. Putin survives assassination bid. Blah blah blah. Hindustan Times. Wow. Very trustworthy here.
Interesting.
That
was something I wanted to talk about on my radio show. Was I think it was when when India got attacked by Pakistan.
Yeah.
Google, which is owned by, I forget the guy's name, but he's an Indian. If you Google search
Sundar Pichai,
yeah. If you Google searched anything about India after that day, the top 15 things were like, it was like Hindu
India,
Times, India Times. It was all Indian sources on Google.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
that's what we have to look forward to.
This is definitely notable. I mean, this is a top source on Google right now. Top source, Hindustan, Daya TV, Times of India. Like, are you telling me India is the only one reporting on Russian assassination attempts?
Right.
No.
Of course not.
No. I'll go on this. The internet should not be globally accessible. India should be banned from the internet. Period. Blanket statement from the internet. India should be banned.
I know.
No India on internet.
I know I'm not super active on Twitter, but I remember I did repost
Brutal,
something
dude.
that was basically like, it was like, I don't think Indians, like as an American, I don't think Indians should be allowed to talk to me. Like, it's crazy that they can get my
Indian
phone
Express.
number.
I mean, okay, let's count. Wikipedia. We're not going to count that one. 1, 2. CNN 3. Economic 4, 5, 6. I'm assuming that's Indian. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Like 9 of the 12 links on the front page of Google are Indian links.
Talking about the Ukraine-Russia war. Not even the Ukrainian
let's do something.
Times.
Let's something else. What would be something else that's kind of not related, but kind of maybe loosely a little bit? South Africa.
Good one, yeah.
If I can type. South Africa. I don't want to put
do apartheid.
Yeah, we'll do apartheid. All right, you
Okay,
get your AI
Wikipedia.
saying basically it'll probably tell you. Let's see.
Okay, Britannica.
Anti-apartheid. That might be too specific.
Yeah.
Al Jazeera. Let's see. Let's too specific. Let's see. We'll just type in assassination. Let's just get something comparable. Global Initiative, Mail and Guardian, BBC. Okay, maybe not. But that's odd that
type
it's Russia,
in
though.
the best 7 wonder or top 7
places
in the dude when it go back and get rid of T. Look at the second one down.
In India.
There you go.
Can I search incognito on here where it's not like my isn't there like an incognito thing where it's not my search history? Anyway, that's crazy. Why are they pushing India so hard, dude? Top 7 places in India to visit in India.
Darjeeling.
I'm assuming that's India. I'm assuming that's India.
Sikkim,
India.
probably. Okay, type in the best 7 wonder of the world.
7.
I'm not looking for a Yeah, I was trying to see if it would say the Taj Mahal is the best one.
Well, it's got the Taj Mahal on there, which I mean, I would agree it's up there for sure. on. That was just interesting that it was all
like the India Times.
Like what? Like what
Fox,
does this have to do with Russia? Or am I just missing something?
Well, like Fox News isn't on this page, was it? I mean, it had to be at the
assassination
bottom.
wrong? I was okay. I don't know. Chat. I don't know. I'm dumb. Sparky, what's up, dude? We're just kind of messing around right now. Just like the grifters, they are just trying to get the Christian fan base on their side for some ching ching. Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, this is what Ben Shapiro's been doing for the better part of 2 decades. Trying to hold this Jewishness so close to his chest that he appears to be Christian. The same thing with Dennis Prager. Yet when it comes down to it, they don't care about the browning of America, right? To use his own words, limited browser access for cooking recipes at the DMV. Yes. Talking about limited internet. Yeah, there definitely needs to be, and this is something I've thought about too, is global access to the internet destroys national borders. Right? Like, I want my news not from Hindustan Times.
Yeah.
Like, I want to be able to post on X or Twitter without being bombarded with non-American garbage. Right? I don't care about even the UK, like Europeans. I don't care about your politics, dude. I don't care. I need to be able to filter my feed for my people.
This is a perfect example. There was a story on the news today about how you need to be careful when you go on vacation because scammers are going into hotels and they're sliding pamphlets under your door, like pretending to be like, oh, here's our hotel menu, scan this barcode, and then they get access to your phone. And the solution is be careful when you're on vacation. You have to like do your own research and like go ask the clerk instead of trusting in the pamphlets. And it's like, it's not that like, okay, here's the problem. Here's how you account for it. It should not be this way.
Correct.
We should not have to be afraid of everything around us all the time. And what are we afraid of? We're afraid of having our life savings hacked by some by some brown guy that like has 9 teeth in his head. You know what I mean? Like, excuse me.
If those brown people would have gone into the Capitol on January 6th, you know where they would be, Josh? Prison. Well, if we had the capability of going out and arresting grandmas for a mere presence in DC, we had the ability to shut down all of this.
Yes. We should have all these videos you're seeing coming out of Ukraine, Russia, Gaza, where like man-made drones are flying into buildings. That should be Indian scam centers. That should be like, you see these FBI videos where like they hack into the CCTV footage within an Indian scam building, and then the FBI will like kind of like mess with them,
dude.
and then they scatter.
Lock them down.
Don't do that. Don't scare them into away, because then they'll just go somewhere else.
And do it
Blow
again.
them up.
Yes.
Kill them. And it's like, whoa, you can't invade a foreign country.
They're invading us.
Yes.
The ones that aren't invading through H-1Bs are invading through the internet and through telecommunications, right? These are largely Indian. You get some Nigerian phone scammers that are invading Americans via internet.
Absolutely.
They should be IP banned from the internet. They should be nation banned from the internet. This isn't hard.
What, you think God put those mountains there for no reason?
You think the ocean
They're not supposed to be near us.
You think the oceans just happen?
Yeah. Pangea was fun when it was all like dinosaurs and stuff, but now
I mean, the
they're there
Tower
for
of
a
Babel
reason.
tells us that we need to be separate people. We are God set a place for boundaries for a specific people. What's that? Acts 17:26. In my area, I feel Christians are a big liability because they are crazy. In love with the Zionist. I would assume you are in the Bible Belt. I mean, that is correct. This is dispensationalism. We're in South Carolina ourselves, so I feel you. And I was born and raised in that world. You can come out of it. I say you, meaning basically anyone below the age of 40. Plate tectonics is racist. Correct. Reality is racist. Anything that is true is basically racist. So to be unracist, you have to deny the reality. Ortho has no Zionist problem. Correct. I wouldn't say no Zionist problem now.
Yeah, they...
Catholics have a Zionist problem too. Everybody has a Zionist problem.
Yeah.
Because the Zionists are very good at infiltration. I wouldn't say no Zionist problem. I mean, I can't think of one off the top of the head. But
I mean, look, I'll be fair. It is worse in the Protestant
Isn't there multiple
community.
Orthodox churches?
Maybe. But let's be
Russian
fair
Orthodox.
here. I'll be fair to the Catholics and the Orthodox. A lot of the Christian Zionist worship is from the Protestants.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
So, however, you guys aren't immune. I mean, Joe Biden was a Catholic.
Zoom tomorrow? You want to Zoom tomorrow?
Let's do it.
All right, boys. I will have Zoom set up tomorrow. We will start Zoom at, if we start streaming at 2:30 plus 5 minutes, start streaming 2:35. Zoom calls start at 3:30 tomorrow, Eastern. The only time zone that matters. Build a great golden firewall, a big beautiful firewall. Yeah, we need a Game of Thrones ice wall at the north and south border, and then we need a firewall on the internet to block any incoming information. We don't need any cables under the water. We don't need to talk to the rest of the world. I'm going full isolationist internet. You need to verify we ain't crazy. Nah, it'd be okay. I like the crazies, dude. Josh, we like the crazies, don't we?
Yeah, they're make some.
I do need
good
the
viral
Discord.
moments.
Okay. Here's the deal. Zoom and Discord will be set up tomorrow. We will announce Discord at the start, and then we will announce Zoom around 3:30. Deal? I think that's a deal.
Let's do it, man.
You make that deal, Josh?
I'll make that
deal. That's a damn good deal. I'm sick of Mexicans and Brazilians running my online games. Yes. At a minimum, we should be able to restrict it to English. And then beyond that, it should be restricted to country borders.
Christ is Lord.
And then we should take it beyond that, and you have to get a DNA test, and then you should be able to filter it by phenotype or genotype. Joe Biden also shoots himself every day. Dude, how about everybody's turning on Joe Biden now? It's like, dude, you're too late, man. This is the same thing they did with the COVID stuff. Everybody's like,
yeah.
The crazy conspiracies, the theorists say the thing that is true. Everybody denies it, and then it comes out, and everybody's like, oh yeah, I knew that.
Jake Tapper.
I knew that.
Jake Tapper should be in a stockade.
These people should be hung. That's what these people should be.
This is treason.
I wanna hang him from a trebuchet and fling him. If the separation occurs, oh well, so be it. So be it. Nice. It's about 5 o'clock. I'm probably gonna call it here in a second. Josh, if you want to keep going, you can.
I'm wiped, dude.
Oh, okay. Zoom tomorrow, Discord tomorrow, boys. We're gonna make some progress. I'm gonna have a full overlay. I'll probably do a little overlay for this little setup or this little setup. Need to add some things to it. We're getting official here, boys. Getting official. I'm about to be off work.
About to be off too.
I need to do some evening streams too. I don't want to cut into other people's time too. This is our time, Josh. 2:35. That's us.
2:30 to 5 is
that's us. Chat. 2:35 is our time. And then you have to take a breath test to make sure you have good breath. No. Here's a good test. You have to curse Vishnu by name. If you can curse Vishnu by name, then you get access. Have you seen come across those on Twitter?
No.
So there's this phenomenon on Twitter where these Indians pose as like thinking West, or they always have some type of Roman bust as their profile picture, and then there's like some traditional name, and then they post traditional white Western Roman type content.
Yeah.
And then they post something vaguely Indian, like trying to slip it by everybody.
Yeah.
Where we were just Googling like the top 7 things. They'll have this thread of things, and then one of them will be Indian. And it'll be so like out of the ordinary. Like it just doesn't fit, and it's completely Indian. And then somebody goes in the chat and says, curse Vishnu by name, and they will never do it. They never do it.
Yeah. This is the thing you'll have to realize. This is like an invasion. Like these people are like the Jews and the Indians, they're like the Chinese, they're all coming for us, dude. They are infiltrating. Literally spy games.
I'm going to try to find something on my Twitter feed. It's bold of me to scroll through Twitter. But how can anyone not want to be Christian? What do they say here?
Stake in the past, so they have a stake in the future. So they stake in the past, stake in the future. So they have
I like steak. You like steak?
I like steak.
I like it. That sounds like a lot of steak, dude.
I want a steak.
How can anyone not want to be Christian, actually? Just steak every day, in the past and in the future. That's pretty good. Oh, he sent me a couple things to react to. Let's see.
Kind of trash.
Okay.
Doesn't treat its people well. You know.
How so?
I don't
Malarkey sent me this.
really.
Thank you.
I don't really know why you're having this. Do you want to have a conversation?
Well, that's why I'm asking you. How so?
What do you mean?
You said the United States treats its people like trash, so I was just asking how.
I mean, right now, how many people are suffering because they can't afford health care? Let's start with there. How about?
Got it. Well, Trump just slashed prescription drug prices by 50 to 80%.
So that
are you
prescription
unhappy with
drug
that?
sellers can raise their prices. I mean, he's just working for fucking capitalism.
Well, he actually isn't taking a salary. And he's also lost $1 billion in his net.
Dude, all of these people, they're just oblivious, man. I mean, every once in a while, you'll get one that knows what's going on.
Yeah.
And they know the talking points, but that's about as far as it goes.
He's working for capitalism.
It's been 160 years since Lee and freedom. Can we just admit they're not assimilating? I'll never stand for this. Yeah, so
Your hair is bad.
I've been thinking about this too. The idea of assimilation, and I've often said that assimilation isn't real. Like someone can't assimilate, and I kind of want to take that back. I think assimilation is possible. I don't think it's possible in a singular generation. I also don't agree with the definition of assimilation being that you adopt the culture of the people around you. I think it's, and I've probably said this before, that assimilation is more accurately defined as the abandonment of all other cultures. Does that make sense?
Mm.
And so to assimilate into a thing, I think there's an IQ floor where it's an intelligence floor. You're able to understand a concept and then apply that concept, right? And we've talked about maintenance, right? This is a concept that is fundamental to America or Western culture. And so if you're not able to understand the concept and then not able to apply the concept, I would say the floor is probably somewhere like 105, maybe a little higher. If you're not able to do that, then assimilation isn't possible. And so there's an intelligence aspect to assimilation. If that
yes, yeah, you're right.
And these people, I mean, 105 would be 2 standard deviations above the mean from Africa, right?
Yeah.
And so that you're looking at like 10%, maybe.
Yeah.
That are even capable of assimilation. And so it's not going to happen. So essentially, I mean, you have your assimilation from Thomas Sowell or Clarence Thomas, and that's about as good as you're going to get.
I think it's safe to say probably a perfect world would look like everyone is in their own nations, but every single one of those nations is led by a small white minority.
Successful nations.
Successful. If you want them to be successful, yes.
Well, it appears that it has to be by that or Asians.
Yeah. Asian.
Specific Asians. Chinese and Japanese.
Yes. Those are East Asians.
Very East Asians.
Very East Asian.
Like your Taiwanese aren't gonna make it. Your Indonesians aren't gonna make it. Your Filipinos aren't gonna. It's not the same.
The Russians, the Americans, the British, or the Europeans, the Australians, and the Chinese and the Japanese. It's really our world, and
when did men get
everyone else is just in it.
Yeah. Who is that?
The right to vote was guaranteed to all people in 1920, according to the 19th Amendment.
Yeah, before 1920, were all men allowed to vote?
No.
Okay, great.
They weren't.
Are you aware that men only got any rights to vote about a decade before women?
The founding fathers were all men, so I have no idea what you're talking
Well, what
about.
does that have to do with the right to vote?
The right to vote was historically withheld from men of color. It was a right.
It was also withheld from
Listen to
the
me.
general population.
Do not cut me off. Do not cut me off. I am in the middle of speaking.
I don't care if you're in the middle of speaking. You're in the middle of a debate.
The right to vote.
You don't have your TikTok mute button, sweetheart?
All right, Chad, I just got a call from...
I did not go to school for...
Chat. I just got a call from... Sorry to interrupt the clip. From somebody. I don't know. Perkins. Whatever. But it was a recording. We're banning the recordings. We're banning the AI. We're banning everything that isn't human and everything that isn't human. Joke. That was a joke, chat. Take that one as a joke. But we understand what we're saying.
How many people are watching?
I don't know. A couple.
Hey.
Probably a few.
More than I thought.
Just expressions are going to catch up with chat, whichever Hindu you want. I don't know where we're talking about. Anyone can obey and follow. Humility is all that is required. I don't think so. He's talking about assimilation. I don't think so. But because I would say obeying and following has an IQ floor also, right? What happens when you have someone with a low impulse control? Are they able to obey? I would argue no. Because they give in to their impulses. What is obeying if it's not curbing your impulses?
And that's the thing, is it's like it is harder for certain people to resist alcohol. And there is a gate.
No, those are you black? Are you black or Indian? No, I'm just kidding. Can you brief though? Can you brief? Ninja asks, "What is success?" Talking about nations or countries, secular material stuff. No, not necessarily. The ability to, well, obviously, it's going to boil down to some type of secular material stuff. Just because that's the nature of reality, right? The nature of reality is technological advancement, right? So whoever is more akin to reality, or whoever accepts reality as it is then able to apply that thought into reality itself, right? The truth is predictive of reality. And so what follows from that is you inevitably come up with technologically more advanced things. And this is applicable in the Christian worldview within the framework of a culture that is quite literally white culture. Look at the Romans to Great Britain of like, I don't know, 1400. But I would also argue that success is having that technological advancement and then applying it from a Christian framework to witness to the rest of the world, right? What is British colonialism if it's not the Great Commission, right? They brought the word of God to nations that hadn't heard of it through their technological advancement. I would say that is what success is. I would say that is what a Christian nation strives for. Having the ability to produce a country that can then export Christianity to the rest of the world instead of bringing everyone here and then expecting it to just happen. Good stuff. Prosperity gospel. It's not prosperity gospel. What it is okay. Let's say I'm building a business and I have this wonderful, this fantastic, wonderful, the best product. Josh, do I just give it away to people?
No.
No, I make a profitable business so then I can produce more to give to more people.
Right.
That isn't prosperity in itself. It is the nature of reality for me to give it to everyone else.
Right.
A thing costs money in reality, right? Mission trips cost money. Even bringing people into the United States and witness to them costs money, right? Prosperity gospel and making money are not the same thing.
Yes. Paul, the disciples, Judas handled the money. They needed money to fund Jesus's ministry. They had money.
Story time. Oh, Ninja. Have y'all answered the question, is Jordan Peterson a Christian? Yes.
Yeah, we did at the very beginning.
We explicitly answered the question in the negative. He is not a Christian. And I think he explicitly says it when he simply denies divinity.
Yeah. And even if he believes it really happened, the fact that he's not willing to say it is telling enough.
Yes. I don't know if wasn't it just talking about me story time and after my big thought, dude. When I think I look up.
Yeah, when you were like, "Here's the thing, I started a business." I think that's when he was like, "Story time."
But yeah, I mean, the argument for prosperity gospel, I think maybe there's a misunderstanding of what prosperity gospel is. But in order for God's people to succeed, the nation needs more GDP. Yeah, basically.
I mean, kind of. But
here's what I would say. I would say the fruits of God's people is increased GDP. And what happens is when you want to increase GDP for the sole purpose of increasing GDP, you import H-1Bs, you import foreigners into a country that usurp God's people, and then the GDP falls because, as Pat Buchanan said, the suicide of a superpower is the destruction of its culture, right? If we don't have a Christian culture, if we don't have a white Christian culture, the nation falls in itself. Success is theosis. I don't use words. I don't know what theosis means.
I don't know what that means.
I would say success is exporting the gospel. I would say success is the Great Commission, but in order to get the maximum effect of a nation to more people, it has to be confined within itself to allow for the exportation of that thing, becoming like God, or bringing more people to God. I don't think maybe an individual success is becoming like God, right? That's what we should all strive to be like Jesus, right? Sinless and righteous. That is sanctification in itself. But as a nation, not necessarily. A nation can't be like God in the same way that an individual can, right? I mean, I'm a Christian nationalist, Josh. I think we should definitely strive to be more culturally Christian when it boils down to it. And I would point to something like like I said, 1400s Great Britain. How many converts equals success? More. The answer is always more.
More, yeah.
All of them.
Every single person.
I mean, but it's just like sanctification. Just because 1 isn't 0 doesn't mean that 100 is more. There's my head count, praise God. I mean, yeah, I mean more. The answer is quite simply more. But in order to have more, yeah, 1 convert is success, right? This is the same concept of justification and sanctification. Justification is a light switch, where 1 is a light switch on an individual level. Each one is a light switch, though more is that sanctification process where infinite or all is the end goal, right? Completeness is the end goal, though we'll never get there on this earth. And to get more, you need technological advancement. You need ships to cross the ocean to witness to the Indians. You need to be able to establish colonies to witness to more people. You need the money, the time, the people, the intelligence to make that happen. This is why, and I'll make this claim, this is the first time I've said it, I don't think Christianity would exist without Europe. Historically, I don't see how it happens without Europe. Is that a hot take, Josh?
And the point is it's like, oh, are you saying God couldn't do it without us? It's like, no. What we're saying is God it's like, why did Jesus come to earth 2,000 years ago? Why not 6,000 years ago? You know what I mean? It's because that was the cradle of civilization. God knew the progression of human innovation. He put like, I think it's because it's because the Europeans were going to colonize the world anyway.
I think so.
That's the point.
I think so.
Yes.
It's the same. It's just, you can make that argument for why did Jesus come 2,000 years ago and not, I don't know, 4 or 1. It's because the place that Rome existed in allowed for the exportation, because Rome was the most technologically advanced at the time. That is what is necessary for the Great Commission, is more technological advancement and time and money.
Mm-hmm. And people say, oh, well, I remember this. I remember this was an argument from atheists. It's like, well, the only reason Christianity is the world's #1 religion is because it was right place, right time. And it's like, yeah, exactly. It's God. You know, like why is Jerusalem, the holy city, right in the middle of the cradle of civilization? Maybe because God knew that's where the cradle of civilization would be.
It's not a question of could he. We all know he can, but it's a question of could he, as in would he? Mm-hmm. Why would he if he could? Does that maybe?
No. I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
Can he? Yes. I mean, nobody's denying a can. We're denying a could, and I think those two things are different. Maybe we should explain those. Hold on. Wife's texting me, boys. It's late. We're gonna go eat. We're going to eat burgers, boys. There's a place called Buddy's Burgers around here. I'm probably doxing myself, but solid burgers, boys. Solid burgers. Ninja, thank you for the conversation. Zoom, I will have Zoom tomorrow, boys. I will have Zoom tomorrow. I'll have us a nice overlay. Ninja, if you want to call in and face dox yourself, please do it. We can have this discussion. God needs our money. No, that's not what we're saying. We're not saying God needs our money, but what's the point of tithes? The point of tithes is to allow the church access to things of this world to then Great Commission it, right? This is what we're saying. I'm not saying we personally need more money. I'm not saying we personally need more things. I'm saying the church, or if you will, as a nation, is able to witness more better if we're a coherent nation and we're more technologically advanced. I think that speaks for itself. I mean, even history proves this, right? How much exportation has, like name a non-first world Christian country.
Ethiopia.
Well, Ethiopia wasn't necessarily black when it was Christian.
Well, exactly. I can't name one.
Burgers and truth. There we go, boys. He says obedient sacrifice. Yeah, I mean, I would agree with that. I think God needs our obedience. God needs our sacrifice, right, to live for Him. Why are we down thumbs down and ninja?
We're smarter than you, Ninja. Not as clever, but smarter.
But
we're righter than you.
Chat, thank you for the conversation today, boys. We will see you tomorrow at 2:30. Zoom call, Discord coming up. We're gonna make it. We're gonna make it as I don't know, whatever we are.
Shia questions.
See you tomorrow. If you watching the first time,
Thanks for joining, Daniel.
Give it a little subscribe. Give it a little like. Maybe share it. I'm gonna start doing some actual videos and on top of the live streams as soon as I get time, which is probably not anytime soon, actually. Now that I think about it, we got a baby coming, boys. We'll catch y'all tomorrow, 2:30. Later.